children, you put them on a train and send them down south. I guess they did that back then. But oftentimes the children will feel abandoned. There was only the kindness of the Pullman car porters and the dining car waiters who took us off trains and put us on other trains. The children, you put them on a train and send them down south. I guess they did that.
With one-way tickets pinned to 4-year-old Bailey Hill,
the children will feel abandoned.
her brother met their grandmother, Annie Henry, who raised them for years.
My grandmother and my uncle owned a store. It was the only black-owned store in
the town.
Largely absent, their father reappeared briefly before Maya and Bailey were uprooted yet again and returned to their mother in Missouri.
When we were picked up and taken to St. Louis, to my mother's people, who were very, very educated, very erudite, very sophisticated, all of that.
But here, Maya suffered a terrifying ordeal that would change her young life.
I was molested.
She had been raped by someone that my grandmother, Lady Baxter, knew. And
she only told my father who the man was. Later, maybe a couple of days later, they found the man and he had been kicked to death. Probably by her. My 7-year-old logic told me that my voice was killed. So I stopped speaking. My mother's people and my mother did their best, tried to woo me away from my
autism. But they didn't know what my voice could do.
After the rape, Maya and Bailey were sent back to Stamps, Arkansas to live with grandmother Henderson.
My mother and her people sent me and Bailey back to Stamps. It was heaven on earth. Because my grandmother, my father's mother, was all of that. She thought I was the bee's knees.
so here you have this adoring grandmother, over 6 feet tall, immaculate in her big starch white aprons. Marguerite was able to just be a little girl there and be free and be loved.
I felt I could speak to Bailey because I loved him so much that nothing I could do would hurt him.
During the time when Aunt Maya was mute after the rape, she only talked to Bailey. He encouraged her. He told her that she was brilliant, that she was beautiful. He lifted her up.
What I appreciate the most about the story about her being mute is that her grandmother said, "Baby, you'll talk when you're ready." People wanted to look at her and say that something was wrong. She's like, when she's ready, she'll talk.
For over 5 years, Maya was mute. But the attention of a concerned teacher helped the traumatized girl regain her voice.
My grandmother gave me a tablet, so I wrote everything. And there was a black lady in my town, Mrs. Flowers, who came to the store. She told my grandmother she'd like to take me to the school, to the black school. She said, "I want you to read every book in this room." I tell you, it seemed like thousands of books to me. I found poetry. Oh, and I loved it. So I memorized things. Paul Laurence Dunbar, James Weldon Johnson. I had Edgar Allan Poe. I liked Poe so much, I called him Eep. And I memorized 30, more than that, sonnets of Shakespeare.
And Miss Flowers, she would read poetry to her. And Marguerite would tell her, oh, that
She said, "You
loved
do not like
poetry."
poetry."
Oh, she'd write it on
Yes,
her.
ma'am. She wouldn't even look at my.
tablet.
And the teacher would tell her, no.
You don't love poetry. You can only love poetry if you can see it and hear it. Until you feel it come
Tongue over your lips, out into air you've pushed it out. I tell you, I wept. I thought she was taking my best friend away.
I think it was Mrs. Flowers who always had said to her, one day I know you're going to speak. And it was because of poetry that she finally was able to regain her voice.
In poetry, Maya discovered the beauty and power of words. But real life more often showed her pain and ugliness.
Bailey had seen a man, not lynched, but he had seen him after he was lynched. I was 13, he was 15. In the South at that time, a black boy in particular, probably a black man too, but a black boy had to get off the street and walk down in the gutter if a white person was passing. And Bailey refused. And my grandmother heard about it, and she said, they'll lynch him. I can't save him.
As she tells the story of Bailey and the story of the family making a choice to protect the son, to protect the black man by removing him from the South, it is in part a story about how African peoples in America, black people in this country, are here, we're of the land, we've worked the land, we've bled and sweat into the land, and yet somehow, in order to be fully human, have to leave the very land that we've cultivated.
Next, Maya breaks down a racial barrier in San Francisco.
There were no black streetcar conductors, no black female streetcar conductors, and Maya set out to become the first.
Now a teen,
So you can go ahead.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Okay, so now I'm sounding like my profession. Yes, sounding like I'm on air right now. So let me continue with that. And that's taking off with time check. It's 8 minutes past 10, and yes, this conference scheduled to take off at 10. So let me just, apologize as professionally as I would on air for starting just a little bit behind schedule, just about 8 minutes behind schedule. Hello, good morning. My name is Toluwayemi Stevens Fashoro, and I'm your host, I'm your compare. I'm also going to be your friend. I hope I can boost your confidence just as my own confidence can get boosted also on this program. So welcome. Let me start by saying a big thank you to the technical crew. We know how techie things can be sometimes, and well, so it's properly, it's allowed, it's understandable. Thank you so much, technical team. We do appreciate you. And a big thank you to the hosts too, Adeola Babatunde. Thank you all so much for putting this together. The woman, encompasses, due to this conference, and especially somehow, coincidentally at a meeting that I had yesterday, we got to talk about the woman, and it was different analysis, and we're talking about, the opportunities given to women, why some men were of the view at that meeting, because it was an official meeting, some men were of the view that this was being overflogged, it was giving women unnecessary wings. It was just like everyone just had his or her own view. Unfortunately, I was like the female lead, the most senior female official at that meeting. So, a whole lot of bias. I found it interesting. Funny enough, I was pretty quiet for a while listening to all the, views. And I found out that the woman is one of the most misunderstood ever. And I guess maybe cultural beliefs, religious beliefs has kind of contributed to this, but we're not going to go into that today. Simply put, we are here today, the 8th of March, to celebrate the woman, to spotlight the issues with the woman, to focus on the woman once again, and make sure that she's not understood, because she's a very, very vital, a very, very, I won't go into, who's stronger, who's weaker. I won't go into all of that now, but the woman is a very, 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 very important part of the society, and she is not a tool. That was one thing that occurred to me yesterday at the meeting, that the woman basically is seen as a tool. The woman is someone with a voice, a strong voice that can make a huge difference. So welcome once again to the 8th of March, which all over the world is celebrated as the International Women's Day. Well, all over the world too, March generally is seen as the month for the celebration of women, but today's in particular is used to just spotlight on, the woman. Now, this conference, the Now You See Me conference, put together by the, the ever beautiful Adeola Babatunde. I'll quickly let you know a bit about that. The Now You See Me conference is for every woman who's looking to rise, become a beacon of hope, and lead an impactful life in spite of past setbacks. This is a one-day online conference centered around helping women rise from all forms of obscurity and real or imagined obstacles to the limelight in any field. It is about giving women a platform to rise and express themselves. We bring together female entrepreneurs, career professionals, stay-at-home moms, and women who want to do more with their lives, and also contribute to the society, unleash their higher selves, and stop hiding in the shadows because of past setback or fear. We are building a community of women who have decided to shine and give other women the permission to do so, even as they shine brightly. So these are the objectives of this one-day conference, the Now You See Me conference. And I hope that at the end of the session, we will all have, I still want to use that word, have our confidence boosted, by virtue of all that we get to hear here today. So welcome once again. Let me bring on our host. Right now, I'm talking about Adeola Babatunde. Hello, Adeola.
Hello, Sister Sonos. I fondly call you. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing? Thank you so much for putting this together.
Thank you too. Let me just be sure that I'm spotlighted. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Sister Tolu. Like I fondly call you. It is such a pleasure to have you. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining. Can you please provide closed caption? So technical team, please try to provide closed caption based on that request. Thank you so much, Sinadi Ranasinge. Thank you so much. Guys, I'm super excited about today. First of all, let me say Happy International Women's Day. Congratulations to all the women and all the men who are supporting us. Congratulations. It's such an honor to have all of you join us today. I'm super, super excited. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And welcome to the Now You See Me Conference 2022. Fantastic. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Now let me jump right into the theme for the day, and I'll share what I've come to tag as personal bias. I'm going to share that with you in a moment before we start to invite our speakers. We have amazing lineup of speakers who are going to come and dazzle you, who are going to come and really, really show us what we need to do on our journey to confidence. It is such a powerful topic, and I cannot wait for them to uncover and unpack everything that it came with. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now, and I'm going to start. I'm going to share my screen. I'd really love, could you just drop in chat? Thank you, everyone who's watching. Could you just drop in chat and tell me where you're watching from? Please tell me your name and where you're watching from. I'd love to hear from everyone. Please type in chat, tell me your name and tell me where you're watching from. That'll be very great. Okay, while I try to share my slides. Yes, yes, yes. In for a great time. Let's see. All right, please let me know if you can see my screen. Betty from Lagos. Hi, Betty from Lagos. Lola from Abuja. Thank you, Lola. Irene from Lagos. Buchi from Lagos. Eziwane from Ilayo. Adeni from Oka. Fantastic. Olawell from Lagos. Thank you, Olawell. Thank you, Betty. Thank you, Peace from the UK. Thank you, Peace. Thank you, Blessing Dosumu from Lagos. Busayo Salako. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you, Senadi. Senadi, I don't know where you're watching from. Thank you so much. Please let us know. So let me jump right into this presentation for today. Something very powerful that I want to share with you. Omotola from Lagos. Thank you, Omotola. Thank you so much. Now, the theme for the International Women's Day this year is breaking the bias. Right? I call it breaking the bias. So it's really break the bias. I don't know why breaking is in my head. I call it breaking the bias. It's break the bias, right? And when I thought deeply about this topic, it's really, we really have to first of all think about what is a bias, right? But I usually don't like to go down that road. And so I'm going to start by sharing a story with you. And here's how it goes. So there was a time when I wanted to build an international company. I wanted to own an international company. Hi, Nkechi Ononko. Thank you so much for joining, Nkechi. Sounds like someone I knew, right? There was a time when I wanted to build an international company. And I thought to myself, maybe I can't. Maybe I'm not the type of person that builds this kind of company. And that sort of thinking is a bias against myself. So regardless of what people tell me I can do or cannot do, that thought I have against myself is a bias, and it is stopping me from moving forward. Now, when we discuss bias, most people say, this is what people have thought about me. These are the things that people have. These are the preconceived ideas, the preconceived notions that people have about me. And because of all of these preconceived ideas, they don't give me opportunities, they don't give me the platform, they don't allow me to do this, they don't allow me to grow. But I want us to see something more potent than other people's bias, which is your personal bias, which is what you think about yourself that is stopping you. What you think about yourself that is stopping you. So like the story I just shared, I was thinking, I'm not the kind of person that builds this company. Nobody came to me to say, you're not the kind of person that builds this company. This was coming from my mind, coming from my perspective, right? And that was what was happening. And so let's move on. Now, when you say to yourself, I don't think I am the kind of person that can lead my team at work. Now, there was a lady I was coaching very high up there, very high up there. I'll just, I can share the details. And I was telling her, I said, oh, so the next thing now is that you're going to be the CEO. right? You're going to be the CEO. That's the highest position in the company. I'm not saying take over from the owner, but that was the highest position. I'm saying, so when are you going to go become the CEO? Excuse me. And she said, oh, no, never. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. And I'm like, why? She said, oh no, there's too much responsibility at that stage. It's too much. She was basically afraid of that position. She did not think she was the kind of person that will lead her team at work at that level. That is a personal bias. That is not anybody telling you can't do it. That is you telling yourself you can't do it. And the reason I want us to focus on personal bias this morning is because it is stronger than whatever bias is out there. So I can tell you, I can encourage you, I can do so many things to help you. But if you don't believe it when you finally get home on your bed at night and you take off your bonnet and your hairnet, no, you put on your hairnet, right? You take off your wig and you put on your bonnet, your satin bonnet. If you don't believe what I'm telling you, and at that time you still don't believe what you are telling yourself, the things you have in your mind, the preconceived ideas you have about yourself, if you allow them stop you, they will stop you, regardless of what I share or what I say or what any other person says. Busayo Salako says, before you remove, yes, before you remove your bra, I can say it in my conference. Before you unwind, thank you, Busayo. Before you remove everything, before your head hits the pillow at night, what are you really telling yourself? What do you tell yourself in secret when no one is listening? I like to say something to my clients, yes, because my public speaking coach, I like to say that your inner monologue is stronger than whatever people are telling you out there. So if I tell you in this conference, you are powerful, you are strong, you are able, before your head hits the bed at night, if you tell yourself, I'm just little, I'm tiny, I don't deserve much, I can't do much, that will be stronger than whatever I share with you in the conference. And that is why today we have to discuss personal bias. So a lot of us will say that, oh, there's so much bias against women. Women are not given top C-suite positions. Women are not able to own, companies of international repute. Women can't do this, can't do that. However, the real question is, what do you believe? Oh, okay, thank you. Hi, okay, I see you. Thank you so much. The real question is, what do you believe? What is your own bias against yourself? And let me be honest with you. Some of you listening to me right now may not be able to articulate this bias I'm talking about. It is that potent. Some other people will call it maybe your conditioning. Yes, it comes from your conditioning, from the things you've heard about yourself in the past, from the things you have done and experienced by yourself, from your past mistakes, your hurts, your pain. These are the things, yes, thank you, Oge. These are the things that form your personal bias and stop you from achieving much or becoming your best self. So there's so many things you want to do, but you're like, but I can't do that. I'm not the kind of person that does that. I haven't ever done this, so it won't be possible. Let me share a very real life example with you. Before I put together this conference last year, I told myself, why should I do the conference? Everybody's doing a conference. Everybody's doing this. Everybody's doing that. Everybody. It was a bias, right? That nobody gave me that I was giving myself. Everybody's doing this. Everybody who said everybody's doing this is Bill Gates doing it, right? So let me move on to the next thing. Thank you so much, okay, for that programming. Now, another example here. I'm not the kind of person who owns and runs an international business. And I've shared this, my personal example. How many times have you told yourself, I'm not the kind of person that does this? Indirika, thank you so much. This is the monster that limits us, and it is the most powerful monster. I want you to type for me in chat. If you have ever sat down by yourself, be honest with me. You saw a job application. You saw the requirements, and you said, it is not people like me that apply for this job. Please type in chat. Let me know in chat. You saw a job application, you read through all of it. Yes, you have. Thank you, Oge. Personal story, this is a true story. My husband sent me a job link. He sent me a job link many years ago. Thank you, Banker. Thank you so much. And thank you, Apollonia. Yes, blessing. Thank you. Thank you. My husband sent me a job link. Francisca said, I'm sitting on this table. I can imagine most of us have constructed a full 5-bedroom duplex on this table. Now, let me share this true life story with you. So my husband sent me a job link many years ago. I looked at the job description and I looked at everything they were asking for. And I said, no, I'm not the kind of person that applies for this kind of job. And I'm just not the kind of person that they're looking for. That was what I said in my mind. I didn't even say that out loud. And so what I did was I dismissed the link. I didn't bother applying. I just dismissed it. Now, luckily for me, I was in a coaching program at that time, and I heard something I'm telling you now. At that time, I was hearing that your personal bias will stop you when you remove yourself from the equation without even trying. Then you're not worthy of the goal. You're not worthy of the prize when you remove yourself from the equation without giving yourself an opportunity to try. And so what I did was, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to remove myself from this equation. I'm going to try. And so I went ahead, I applied, I filled the form. Ladies and gentlemen, and Rika says pimples all over. I know. Ladies and gentlemen, you will not believe it. I applied for the job. Eventually, it wasn't a job. It was like a partnership opportunity. And from that singular job, I was able, from that, it was contract. I was able to make about 31,000 euros for the first time in my life. I had never earned in euros at that time. I was always earning in naira, you know, but how much was I earning? Maybe 180K or something like that. At that time, and it was I think it was about an 8-week contract. I was able to earn 21,000 euros at that time. Please, somebody should help me punch the calculator. Please, euros now is about, I don't know how much euros are now. I don't know how much exchange rate is now. But please, those of you that deal in dollars, please, that deal in, you know, foreign exchange, please help me punch it. 21,000 times, so euros now, not pounds. I know pounds is like 750. I know dollars is like let's just say like 580, 600. Let's just say 600. Please, someone should type for me and put it in chat. 21,000 euros. I was going to remove myself from that opportunity. And guess what, guys? In the entire Nigeria, I was the first person they gave that contract to. The very first person. And yes, I was the only woman that was given the contract. Thank you, Sister Banke. At this price, I did not see this balance in my account, so I think I need to. This has been careful, right? I didn't see this balance, but yes, I was ready to remove myself from this opportunity because I did not think that people like me were the ones going to get this opportunity. And so I wasn't even willing to apply. Nobody told me. I concluded by myself. It was a personal bias. So when we're talking of break the bias and we're wondering what the world is saying, you say, oh, my boss did not promote me, they didn't allow me. Have you promoted yourself? Ladies and gentlemen, I can sit on this one all day. Some of us are eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner on this particular table. Have you promoted yourself? How many times? Yes, personal bias makes you lose. How many times have they told you to come and do something and you turn it down because you are afraid, ashamed, you're scared, you don't think you can do it? How many times has a door opened up before you, but you're saying, I may mess up, I may make a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes, and that is okay. It is human to make mistakes. It is human not to be perfect. When we started this conference, for example, we had some hitches with technique, with the videos, and that is okay, right? And that is okay. But so a lot of times, a lot of us fail to promote ourselves in a way that we can be seen and our services can be employed. So they tell you, come and do this. You don't submit your CV. You don't submit your profile. You do it. Now there's another category. Omola says, better to do it afraid than not trying at all. You are so right. There's another category. Those who are doing it, those who are promoting themselves, but promoting themselves and hiding in plain sight. I can't even get into that one today. I can't even do it. You are promoting yourself, but you're doing it halfway with one leg. Meaning you put yourself out there, but you don't really do it well, right? You put yourself out there, but you don't really do it excellently. You talk about your accomplishments, but you hide like 70% of what you've done. When you read, I want you to go back at the end of today. I want you to go back and I want you to read your own bio. I want you to go and look at your own LinkedIn page. Go and look at your LinkedIn page. Tell me what you see. Tell me if you would hire you based on what your LinkedIn page looks like or based on what your profile looks like. Would you hire you? Some of you are praying for $1 million opportunities. You are praying. You've woken up this morning, 5 a.m. You've joined us. Michael, Gabriel, what other angel is there? They've all heard your prayer. You've disturbed heaven. But when we go now, Michael is like, okay, there's an opportunity for you. UNICEF is looking, WHO is looking. Where are they going to find you? Online, right? They go to your LinkedIn page. What do we find there? Crickets. Or we don't find cricket. Let's assume that we don't find cricket. We find something nice. But you haven't really, it's almost like you're not blowing your own trumpet. You just wrote, I'm a customer service agent. I can do customer service. Will you hire you? Would you promote you? You haven't even promoted yourself. It's unfair to ask someone else to promote you when you haven't promoted yourself. And guess what is causing that? Personal bias. You're saying to yourself, I don't think I'm the kind of person who should get the WHO opportunities. But you woke up in the morning praying. You woke up in the morning shaking heaven. Your prayer was the loudest. But you are hiding in plain sight. Now we want to employ you. Now we want to hire you. Now the opportunity is knocking. We go and look for you. And then what are we hearing? Crickets. Personal bias. I can't do it. I'm not the kind of person. I don't have what it takes. And I respectfully understand what you are going through. And I'm here to lovingly say that how long will you do this for? Ask yourself, how old am I? Ask you, how old are you? No, in Dirika, we have to break the table. Ask yourself, how old are you? How old? Don't tell me. Don't worry, me, I'm 20. I'm 16. I'm 16. Well, how old are you? At what age are you really going to start coming out and saying, this is what I am sent to do. This is what I am meant to do. This is me. You guys see me. How old are you? Let me say it. Yes. Unoaku, how old? Please don't say it. Please don't share. And if you're confident, you can do it. But how old are you? At what age are we going to go to your LinkedIn page and say, wow, we need to invite her to the WHO. She needs to speak. At what age? At what time? This is 2022. 2022. I don't want to mention your date of birth. 2022. At what age? In what year? This is March. We're already in March. You drew, what's that thing that we do in January? What's that beautiful thing that we do? Oh my goodness. What's that beautiful thing that we do? I can't reduce my volume, Sister Onyebuchi. Even me, I'm also talking to myself. At what age are we going to, at what age are we going to see, are we going to sit and say, we need to invite Oge? Vision board, thank you. You did vision board in January. We're in March now. At what age are we going to come, are we going to say, we need to invite Oge to the WHO? She needs to come and speak to us about that passion that she has. But we get to your page, we get to your LinkedIn profile, we check you online, we can't find anything that speaks to us about what you do, how you do it, why you do it in a powerful and convincing way, because you don't think you are the kind of person that does it. Personal bias. You know, when we say your villagers are doing you, this one has got nothing to you, and nothing about you. It's got nothing to do with your villagers. This is you. And let me quickly say this. The greatest enemy you can have, the greatest enemy is your lower self. Your greatest enemy is your lower self. And I purposely said lower self because there's a higher self. There's a higher self, and I have to run. There's a higher self, right? There's a higher self. I have to run. Now, let me quickly say this. Now, some of us say, oh, women like me focus on their families and don't do too much. This, again, is a personal bias. Who told you that women like you? Who are women like you? Who exactly are women like you? Women like you are women that wake up in the morning and sleep at night. That's all. Women like you are women that draw their eyebrows. That's all. Right? When you were born, you could walk, you could talk, you had fingers, you had eyes. We are all women like you. There isn't a special category for women that do this and women that do that. Ladies and gentlemen, there was a time when if I want to speak, I'll be praying for the ground to open and swallow me. Like I'm like, can the person speaking ahead of me just speak for too long? So that they'll say, madam, we're so sorry, we cannot accommodate you. I'm like, it's totally fine. In my heart, I'm like, praising the Lord. I'll be so happy, right? So it is women like you, women like that, former me. It is women like you, it is you and I that do great things. We're the ones that deliver the word. Dolapo, yes. In fact, the other prayer I used to pray was, let the time they have fixed for me, let it be when we are on, what's that thing called? What's that holiday? Public holiday. And in Nigeria, we have all those funny holidays. And God bless Muhammad. Muhammad has some very interesting holidays. You just say that Muhammad is doing birthday. And Friday and Monday, you're not coming to work. I'm like, thank you, God. I don't have to talk those 2 days. Right? Or rather, the presentation I have must be shifted. It was such a blessing. Someone says, that's my prayer. Though it will not be your prayer after today. Because you must think about it. If we don't see you, management cannot use you. If we don't see you, management cannot use you. See, if I don't think that you're confident enough to speak here, and there, I wouldn't want you to represent us. I won't say Ukraine, no. And God be with Ukraine. I wouldn't want you to represent us in Germany. I wouldn't send you for that program in Dubai. Yes, we all want to go to Dubai, right? For that training. But I wouldn't send you because I don't think you're confident enough to represent the company. Come and represent us on Monday morning. Just represent us when there are just 4 people on the panel. Just 4. Okay, let me increase it. Just 20. You don't show up because you don't think that you're the kind of person that does this and does that. My sister, we won't send you to Dubai. You won't become, you won't become the one that will lead that will lead the marketing team. You won't become the marketing director. You won't. It's not your villagers. It is your lower self fighting you. And the good news is that there is a higher self that can do all of these things I'm talking about. I need to run. There's a higher self, right? So women like me don't do too much. They focus on their families. Who told you? Now, let me quickly say this. God bless David White. He says a bias occurs when someone is not objective. Objective is the word here. When you're not objective, right? And it says when you're showing favoritism towards one person or a thing, and it is important to remember that everyone, no matter how objective you are, you have a biased opinion about something. Guys, no matter how objective you think you are right now, you have a biased opinion about something. And that leads me to this quote. Bias occurs when you are not objective and when you show favoritism towards something you have always believed about yourself that may not be necessarily true. That may not be necessarily true. I'm not the kind of person who told you. Have you tried it? Did you try it and fail? Even if you failed. But I thought we all know that when you fail, you try again. Don't we all know that when you fail, you try again? God that made the heavens and the earth, the first man he made failed. Adam failed. He ate the tree. He ate it. The first man he created failed. Then who are you in the scheme of things? It's okay to fail. It's okay. It's okay to try that thing and fail the first time. Try it and fail the second time. I'm telling you. Because, and let me, there's so much I want to share, but I really do have to obey my own. Let me quickly say this. On the journey to confidence, you must break personal bias. You must sit down, and I like to say this, just before you sleep tonight. Tonight is the 8th of March, or rather, today is the 8th of March, 2022. Before you sleep tonight, I want you to think. I want you to think about what is going on. I want you to think about the things you have believed about yourself, the ones that are stopping you. And here's how you know. Think about the things you want to do with your life. Think about the big things that you want to do. And begin to think about, I think I have enough money. I don't think I can afford it. Let me give you one secret that a coach of my money coach, for Echo, gave me a while back. So when I asked her the same question, she said, it is impossible for the money that you need not to exist. She said it is impossible, meaning that it is, if you really sit down and think about the things that you think are against you, you'll be shocked at the things that are for you. And the moment you sit down and start to pick on your personal bias, the things that you know are stopping you, you'll be shocked at how fast you will move in the direction of your goals. Now, let me quickly share 3 things, and I'll round up in about a few minutes. Let me quickly share 3 things. How do you start to break your personal bias and find your way to confidence? 3 things. If you weren't taking notes, you need to take notes now. Number 1, be willing to try. I cannot say this enough. Confidence is not the absence of fear. It is the willingness to try. So that moment where you feel like your heart is in your mouth, they've called you to speak, you're like, oh my goodness, I'm going to faint. Confidence is the willingness to try, not the absence of fear, not the absence of the feeling. You may still be feeling that way, but it's the willingness to try. Number 2, a bias has no stronghold unless you let it. This one is so deep. It's so deep. I don't even know how to expand upon it in a few minutes. See, if you believe that, one of my best quotes of all time, if you believe you can, you're right. If you believe you can't, you're right. So whenever I think to myself, I can't do this thing, I'm like, Jola, if you believe you can't, you're actually right. That just means that you choose what bias you want. You choose what stronghold works for you. So you can tell yourself that this thing is not going to work. You are right. And you can come and tell yourself this thing is going to work, and you're right. And it is so powerful. It is so powerful, right? And finally, the third point, everything has a procedure. Just learn, follow. If you want to build a big business, there is a procedure to building a big business. Learn, study, you plan, you organize, you structure. Everything has a procedure. If you don't follow the procedure, you cannot achieve the goal. If you want to ride a bicycle, there's a procedure. It just basically means that no matter what you want to do, that you think you don't have confidence for, there are steps to arrive at your goal. There are steps. Follow those steps and you will arrive at your goal. Follow those steps and you will arrive at your goal. Everything has a procedure. Ladies and gentlemen, I would love to continue, but I have to hand over to our next speaker. I believe our next speaker is in here. And finally, yes, I've said this, confidence is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to try. It's the willingness to try. And I'm going to stop here. You can watch replay later. Thank you all so much for joining me today. Confidence is the willingness to try. I see one of our speakers. Thank you so much. Our speakers are here. It's the willingness to try. Okay, so she's not here, so I'm just going to go ahead. It's the willingness to try. So please, if you have any questions for me, you can start to drop them in now. And let me start to answer these questions around personal bias. In addition to your questions, you can start to send me chats right now. Tell me, what personal bias do you have about yourself? What biases have you held about yourself? Let me give you one. I don't know where this one came from. When I was growing up, when I was a teenager, I don't know where this one came from. Only God knows where. I used to think that I had big lips. How ridiculous. I don't know where this bias came from. And I used to think that I couldn't do much because I had big lips. I don't know where this came from. I don't know how. So, but what I want to say is be careful with what you tell young adults. Please, can you show the 3 steps again? Okay, I'll share my 3 steps again. Be careful about what you tell young adults. I'm going to share my screen again. I think somebody wants to see the 3 steps. I'm just going to share that. Please let me know if you can see my screen. Please let me know if you can see my screen. Yes, right, fantastic. All right, so here are the 3 steps I shared. The first step I said, be willing to try. How do you start on your journey to confidence? Be willing to try. And I delve deeper. I go deeper in this when we're doing our course. I go deeper in this. Be willing to try. The second one is a bias has no stronghold unless you let it. If you believe you can, you are right. If you believe you can't, you are absolutely correct. So there are some things you tell yourself that I can't do this, you are correct. But the moment you say, I can do this, you are also correct. So that bias that's held you since you were 16, if you choose now that you are 17, let me add 17. If you choose now that you're 17 and you say, you know what, it's not going to hold me back anymore, you are right, right? And the third one, everything has a procedure. Just learn and follow. Everything has a procedure. Just learn and follow. What this simply means is that no matter what you want to achieve, no matter how big what you want to achieve is, no matter how big it is, there are steps. There is step 1. There is step 2. So while you're building your confidence, take step 1. And Apollonia says something. She says, my greatest fear is taking a decision. I am always indecisive. And this thought makes me feel I can't forge ahead. Apollonia, you are very correct. I used to sit in this boat with you. In fact, I have a friend that sent me she sent me a screenshot, because I would always say things like this. This was how I would put it. I would say, I like to analyze before I make a decision. I have to think deeply and think very clearly so that I'm sure I'm making the right decision. My sister, I would sit on one decision forever and eventually not make a decision at all, right? And so I began to confess and say, I act quickly. I began to confess, and I'm seeing it happen. Things are moving, things are working. Okay, Apollonia, so you can begin to make that confession and see it work for you. Thank you so much. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing now. Please type in chat. Tell me. What are the personal biases that you have had against yourself? Or what are the things that you truly believe are holding you back? Thank you so much, Apollonia. That is so powerful. What are those personal biases that you have held, that you've held against yourself? You've held that have held you back for so long. Please type in chat. Let me know those personal biases. Okay, and yes, Adelapo says that I am not intelligent academically. I love it. Thank you so much, Adelapo, for sharing that. And that is such a strong personal bias, because of the kind of world we live in. We judge children based on, schools no longer do this, but we used to judge children based on whether they come first, second, third, or fourth, and all of that, let me say good stuff, right? But maybe not so good stuff. However, if you believe that you are not intelligent academically, you are right. The moment you start to challenge that belief and say, what exactly is the definition of not intelligent academically? Do you see? You begin to say, what exactly does it mean to not be intelligent academically? And you begin to confront that. Then you begin to question it. Then you begin to see that maybe the definition was wrong from the onset, and maybe that was not really what it was. Dolapo says, the feeling that they will laugh at me if I make a mistake. Oh, this one is a huge one. It is such a huge one. And I would love to talk more about that later on. Most of our speakers are already in the house. Our next speaker is here. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending the first session. I have to round up now, but I will definitely answer that question. Dolapo is saying that I'm not financially capable to start. I totally love all of those questions. Omotola says, I have a bias for driving. For several years, I've attended driving schools, but yet to drive. I wish I can build confidence in this and not limit myself to hiring drivers. Let me quickly say this for the person driving. When I started driving, I almost killed an Okada man. The guy, for those of you that are Nigerians who are watching, who understand this, the Okada man was doing this to me. Because I almost killed him when I was learning, I was trying to drive, right? So I'll go deep. Goodness, please make sure you capture all of this so we can revisit it towards the end of the program. Thank you all so much for sharing. We will now be bringing the next speaker. and I'll be handing over to our compare, our beautiful and delectable compare, Miss Toluwayemi Stevenson. Thank you, everyone, as she introduces our next speaker. Thank you.
Oh wow. I'm still reeling from the compliments. Beautiful. So this is going to quickly lead me to share my own story. Talking about personal bias this morning. Something happened. Everything just went wrong this morning in, trying to prepare for the. Hello?
The video is off.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, all right. So sorry about that. Yeah. So if you noticed, I took about some seconds before I started talking because I was reeling from the compliments. Oh, beautiful. Okay, so I'll tell you my beautiful story this morning. So everything just went wrong in preparing for the conference this morning, and I mean, one of the most, to me, it still sounds like one of the most unpardonable things to ever happen was that somehow I couldn't get to do my makeup. And I was like, oh my God, this is just not going to be possible. I mean, how could you do this? I mean, you need to package. Funny enough, I watched a video yesterday about packaging. You need to package, you need to do this. You can't do this. Yeah, this can't be you, Jolie. This is not possible. You can't just do this today. And I was like, guess what? I started praying, oh God, just let something happen. Maybe Diola should call me and tell me we're postponing, or something should happen. And I was like, okay. So there was this thought that, so which one is it going to be? The makeup or you flunk this? And I was like, makeup. I mean, it was like, oh, I need to hide this part of me. Oh, I need to do this. Oh, no. I can't do this. Just can't happen. And at the end of the day, somehow I got here, I got prepared and I did everything. And I said, you know what, makeup or no makeup, I have to go for this. This is more important. And the first person, as I stepped out of his house, that came out, that saw me was like, oh, wow, you're looking good. And I was like, okay, thank you, God, for doing that. So you see, something, if I had had my way today, something as small as makeup will have just completely, wiped off all that I needed to do today, as important as it was. So personal bias is one. I mean, I wrote it down here. It is the biggest monster. Somebody said it's the biggest monster we all have, and it starts, with that personal. We could so many dimensions of that, so many aspects of that keeps affecting us in ways we can't imagine. So that's, we should make up our minds after today's conference to start dealing with it big time. There's so many aspects to it. But anyway, thank you so much, Diola, for that first session. I mean, it was like somebody say you're breaking the table. No, apart from breaking the table, there was also Koboko going around flogging us all. Thank you so much, Diola. So now let me quickly bring in Mrs. Dayo Benjamin Lani, who she is a voice media entrepreneur and an event profile global enterprise communicator. She is the executive director of Doxa Group, Doxa Digital Nigeria, Doxa Conference Management Bureau, Doxa Prints, and DBL Doxa brand. She's Nigeria's foremost complete corporate brand. Doxa, beg your pardon, is Nigeria's foremost complete corporate brand that is tested and proven in the marketplace, providing total event design, management and sequencing, conference hall design, configuration and installations of technical and innovative enterprise for prestigious occasions and ceremonials of various government, social, diplomatic, and corporate reference, both national and international. She is an ordained deaconess and the wife of Pastor Tunde Benjamin Lani of the Throne Room RCCG Abuja that meets at Transcorp Hilton, an English honors graduate of the University of Ibadan. Dayo is a public speaking entity and an experiential consultant who has honed a reputation as one of Nigeria's most recognized and sought after master of ceremony, with a stellar background spanning media, entertainment, events design, and architecture, hospitality, culture and tourism, and CEO branding. DBL Celebrity Compare planned and masterfully executed a significant number of high-profile. DBL is a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Management Consultants and Certified Management Consultants. She is so inspired by nature and environment around her that she develops personal relationship with the plants. Oh, wow, that's nice. And they are named deliberately according to their place in her heart. The African Cultural Transformation ACT Initiative is an NGO cultural rejuvenation engine which she has initiated to restore, strengthen, and redefine African pedigree for women, advocacy, and entrepreneurship. Dio is also working on an agro-transformation project for African women. This project is primarily concerned with the integration of African women as global agripreneurs, and she is a relationship and entrepreneurship mentor, counselor to youth and women of all ages, and the host of a popularly known TV series with Christian Broadcasting Network, CBN, called Ask Auntie D on Living the Life series. She is the CEO of the annual DBL Bold and Beautiful that celebrates women in commemoration of the International Women's Day. And the program is an intentional initiative that inspires a vibrant networking and mentorship platform for women across all ages, race, experiences, purpose, and pursuits. Using the power of personal stories, Dream Girls Africa DBL DGA is the inspired initiative in African girl child advocacy of its founder and convener, Dio Benjamin's Lani DBL. It is dedicated to the global empowerment of the girl child in Africa through a project-based appraisal of her academic, physical, psychological, and emotional vulnerabilities using the founder's home nation, Nigeria, as its geopolitical polaris. Through creativity and innovation, DBL Dream Girls Africa provides mentorship, guidance, support, global leadership, and entrepreneurship skill sets, which radically transform the emotional mindset of the African girl child and positioning her in strength and happiness for the future she truly deserves. Dio is the brand ambassador for the Nigeria Social Media Summit and the vice chair of the Nigeria Trinidad and Tobago chairman of Commerce Abuja, Nigeria. Dio is happily married with 4 children. Dio is an outstanding Toastmaster and a patron to a number of foundations.
Wow.
It is an honor and a privilege to welcome you, Dio Benjamin Lani. How are you?
I'm flunked. No, don't let me use that word flunked. But honestly speaking, I'm just thinking to myself.
I think she's frozen.
Yes, that's what it is.
Yeah. Well, I think she's frozen. Well, that was some bio. Someone in the audience says, "Wow, wow, wow." Are you still reading woman's bio? Like
I just read, wow, 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 wow.
Oh my God!
This is one person's bio. I'm like, yes.
Break the bias.
Yes, break the bias.
Break the bias. And you know, the power of bias is the power. The power of any bias is the power we give it. Whether it's a bias that's in your favor or a bias that works against your favor. Anything and everything is empowered only by the power, the relevance, the attention that we give it. If somebody does not like me, that's their position by an experiential contact where I may have messed up in the place of our engagement, where I may not even have done anything, but one look at me offended them concerning me. Whatever it is, I empower it if I choose to be upset by the fact that they don't like me. And the truth is, ladies, not everybody will like us. We walk into a room, and I heard somewhere, but don't believe those stats. But what I heard is this: when you walk into a room, right, 30% of the people, your people. 30% of the people don't like you. The next 30% don't even care about you. Now, are you going to worry about all of that, or are you going to just establish all of that being you. The truth is, in breaking the bias, I believe the most critical breakthrough when it comes to any bias is just loving you. Self-limiting beliefs, things people have said or you imagine they have said that have framed you into a place of now trying to meet up, to exceed, or to please the expectations or the assessments of people around you will limit you and will become a personal bias hurting you. Imposter syndrome begins when we choose to believe we are not qualified to be the best version of ourselves in the next opportunities that present themselves to us. We must understand, like we heard Tulaimi saying, that whatever you're going through, you're coming through. You will come through that door, and you know what? One person in the world will look at you and say, you are looking good. But let it begin first with you looking at you in the mirror, the selfie, or like now with our Zoom report at ourselves, and establish the fact, you know what? I am looking good. A good report does not begin with what someone tells me I am or how well I've done what I've done. I know the truth. I can set things up and make them look so good, but it's not really that good. It could have been better. It could always be better. But the reality is, do I give myself a first tick? So this year, International Women's Day, can you promise yourself that you would love yourself so much that you would always approve you before any other person comes to you? When we deal with that first critical, personal place of bias, you will move from your negativities, from your self-contradictions to a place not just of self-acceptance, but self-celebration, validation, affirmation, confirmation, but most importantly, a self that loves self, not selfishly, but in a place that is full of selfless acceptance of your strengths, of your weaknesses, of your opportunities, and of your threats. Do your SWOT, but never condemn yourself in the SWOT with your sweat. The best things to do are the blessed things to do. You know what it means to say bless you? Bless you simply means I empower you. So bless yourself. Be the best version of yourself by choosing to empower yourself with the blessed mindset, an empowered mindset, one that takes you from a place of self-defeat, one that takes you from a place of self-incrimination, one that takes you from a position of self-accusation or where others have accused you of being the problem in the team. Go and work it. If everybody's looking at you and telling you you're not good enough, we don't want you here in the National Assembly, set up your own constituency, review it with your own constituent panel, and arrive at only one conclusion: I'm it and I'm in it. Now, work on the strategy that gets you in where they want you out. And you've got to come up with a strategy that's like a Trojan horse to get into Troy. You got to work it, because the power that you want to work with is not just in being an activist, it's becoming a principal actor. Actors, principal actors need their script. What are you scripting? What are you working on? What are you creating as your own innovative model? What are you using not just to represent, but to present with an audacious, deliberate, intelligently sequenced through creative, emotional intelligence? Work, when people talk about work-life balance, it's not about a work life. So what's your work plan? Always work it from the script, and you become the principal of it in the place of directing your forward position, your forward projection, your forward trajectory. My name is Dio Benjamin Zlani. It's an acronym for DBL, and also I am simply called in many places Auntie D. Auntie D because I have this auntie thing. I love talking to the next generation, and I will not stop talking. And that is how I become auntified as a persona brand Auntie D. And when I speak to them, I do not speak from a position of condemnation. You, these children and girls or boys of nowadays, no, no, no. I come from the place of power, legacy, and change. Counsel. Counsel is critical to establishing understanding, acceptance, connection, conviction for true direction, not for motivational excitement, but for that which truly inspires, and therefore with the purity of the power of driving the model of your best version will motivate you, not motivationally in that animated sense, like a cartoonized, networkized expression of your persona. No, but in a place where you're intentional about designing your prototype for the expression of your prototype in the place of your community relationships, your personal relationships, your institutional relationships, but most importantly, the power of your personal relationship with your person. The most powerful brand in the world, any day, is the personal brand, the persona brand, the power of the personal story. And that is how come every personal story of greatness in the world is a journey of confidence. Today, that is our topic. And it's topical for the now. It's topical for the now because it represents not just a how to do, how to be, what to do, and why to do. No, no, no. It's topical for a self-revelation, a true revealing expression of who you are, where you are in the present, and moving into the power of your next place of not just definition, but defining others. You are defined from where you are. I am defined from where I am in my personal journey to a place where I impact, I influence, and I remodel others by the superlative expression of me.
I think she's frozen, but we'll get her back in a minute. This is so powerful. I will love myself. Thank you so much, Dolapo, for putting that in chat. I will love myself so much, bless myself, and empower myself. That is so,
my
so
prototype. You have so many people following you and everything, but the reality is, it's your impact shift. That is the power of your true fellowship and the legacy that will speak for you when you leave the room, when you transit from your generational place of reference, relevance, and engagement. My journey of confidence.
Let's just hang in a bit. She's going to share, she wants to share her journey on confidence. Let's just hang in a bit and see how network treats this.
Began, let me tell you how come it all crashed. So I come from a background where everything was in place and I had all of the right kind of pedigree in terms of family, social status, stats, school, all of those things were the right things, right? Right model to produce the right kind of confidence. But stuff happens, and stuff happened to me. And you know what? The reality is, for every woman, stuff has happened. Stuff is happening, and stuff will still happen. It doesn't make God less God. It doesn't make you a wicked sinner or someone who has some kind of generational curse plaguing her. Those things are a given. And the power of your breakthrough from those things is still with you. It comes through your own personal will by confidence to deliver yourself, your mind. That's what it is. The deliverance isn't that you take a whole bottle or jar of anointing oil like we will find us Pentecostal believers doing, or you spend 40 nights in vigil to come out and find that, oh, the whole is a brand new world. No, it's a brand new world every day by the mercy of God. And once you get it, you will get all. You don't even need to be Christian to get it all. Do you realize that? Everyone created by God, regardless of your faith, your tribe, your gender, your positioning anywhere in the earth or in your sibling lineup, as you are appointed, not just be the best version of you, but to have it all. How do you have it all? The power of self-deliverance is the power of the confidence that you grow, that you train, that you work, that you generate, that eventually you become the living, walking, talking, experiential best version of. And so it was. That stuff happened. I was 7 years old when my parents, after a very stormy, very stormy, physically assaulting abuse of both themselves, decided to get separated and divorced. My mom is from Trinidad. My dad was one of the highest positions in Nigeria then, and he had her put on a flight and taken out of this country. To return to see us, Mom had to go to the UN, God bless the UN, and from the UN office, she got a sort of caveat, something that gave her the power to come in and see her children. And my father, who was then at such a level with the Supreme Military Council, was called in after one of the meetings at the Supreme Military Council. I think it was then by General Olusegun Obasanjo, to have a conversation with him about letting his wife come to Nigeria to visit her children. And between them, they decided that she could come visit us every 2 years. So yeah, every 2 years. So my mom would come every 2 years for 1 week. And that was her visit from 1973 to 2022. I have only been with my mom, if you put it together, a total of no more than, I used to say about a year, probably a year and a half. I don't think I've spent more time than that. Yes, sometimes my mom is like a picture on the wall. Now, there are other things going on, but I want you to understand that stuff happened. We had like a rose-tinted fairy tale kind of childhood with West Indian mom, all of those kind of things, total what you call assaulted child, growing up with all those things. Then mom left. Then my grandma came in, another amazing, strong woman. She raised me and she hated my mom. And all of that became part of, you understand, the trauma, the contradiction. Now something happened. I was always an A gold star student, but after mom left, actually two things happened. Just before mom left, we changed schools from Apapa to Victoria Leon Corona. And I was challenged with my academics. But now I realized what happened was the stuff happened between my dad and mom was beginning to prevail on me emotionally, but I didn't realize that. And then mom left. Oh my goodness, you can talk about crashing. Putting it all together again, I became confused. And I got so confused, I was discombobulated. I didn't know how to put order to things in my life. I also became exposed. That was my first time of being exposed to some form of sexual violation and just being touched where I shouldn't have been touched. And yeah, you know, these things happen when a girl child is left exposed without, even when the mama is in the house, anyway, stuff happens. But let's not go there. What I'm trying to say is a personal journey to confidence now. So I lost all confidence. By the time I had to do common entrance, there was nothing even commonly composed in my mind to pass a simple common entrance exam. When I think of these things now, somehow I managed to get into St. Louis in Ibadan. Somehow I managed to get through.
Sorry, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am.
Somehow I managed to get through 5 years. I can't describe what it's like to have to wait some visiting days. And you don't see. I just wanted my mom. But I got to. In that season, I also had this incident. If you see this in here, it's not suicide, but somehow I caught my ulnar nerve trying to open a window at home. Somehow I came through. I went to a school where assaults were tormented. I was made to clean the toilet from 1 to from 4. And we were told to wash the toilet. And when you finish washing, it must be so clean, you must be able to sit on the floor. I did that for 4 years. When my mom left from being, my dad was a 2-time minister, so I had all kinds of privileges. You can understand. Went to ATS, Mercedes-Benz came into Nigeria in the 70s. That's what used to take us to school and everything. And then mom left, and in reality of, my daddy got married. My stepmom is not wicked, she's an amazing person, but I didn't understand. She was coming from a different background, you understand? So I didn't understand that training me to be strong, going to Ajegunle, learning those things, trained me to be who I am. Sometimes I'm challenged, even as a wife, mother, and supermodel Auntie D in my domestic place. You know why? Because there was a gap there. But praise God. I just want to encourage you, whoever you are, you can go through and come through. So I came through. I finished Form 5, I was 13 years old. My dad said, still too young to go to university. I passed my JAMB. I was taken at Ife. I was taken at Ife for English. Like I said, he kept saying just average ability. From the time that trauma happened to me in primary school at primary 3, I went from A student to average. Average plagued me all my life. From that time to when I got into university, eventually University of Ibadan. There was no papa or mama to push for me to do the law, so I did the English. But I thank God I went for that English. English today is the English I speak that has given me the kind of expression that I have. But it's not just the English. It's the fact that in my journey in life, I had to begin to embrace strength outside myself. Somehow in all of this, there came a day when my cousins and my sisters were all talking about the most beautiful girl amongst us in the family. If you know the Olumi days, say we're fine now. But that day, we were all there and they thought I was sleeping. And maybe this is the first time any of them will be hearing this from some of you who know them. Because do you know what your cousin, your sister said? Well, this is what happened. So I was there, and they thought I was sleeping, and they were talking about who the finest was. And the finest went to my junior sister Kemi. Then the next one to anyway, And then I was nowhere in the rank or file of fine girls in the family. I was waiting to hear them say, Dio is position this, or Dio is this. I never got there. And then I concluded that they said, but they actually didn't say that I'm ugly. Ladies, from that day, I got up from that bed and I walked out. I became ugly. I became ugly from that age and stage of my life, probably about 17. until I had my encounter with God and He reset me when I was 29. I did everything to impress him because I decided since I'm not fine, let people still like me. Do you know what it's like to want to be liked by people? You should talk to me about it. But do you know it was in that place God trained me how to be authentic? Because I said, since fineness won't cut it, let me try and do what I can from inside. And that's how I became the real D, authentic Auntie D, that today blesses people. From what position? From a position of truth. What have I learned, therefore? Because I can see it's a wrap up. Do I apologize for being teared up and everything? It wasn't the plan, but you never know what has hurt you till you come to confront the hurt. I just thought I was going to like sail through this. I'm talking to you about turning to confidence. Wow. Lashes and all. Who was that said you're afraid of people laughing at you for making mistakes? You know what I've learned? Make the mistake, keep going. I've made so many, but I keep going. Take the next take. It won't be a mistake. Did you hear me? Take the next take. Take the next turn. Take the next opportunity. Ask to come, return to the room and tell them you want to receive that interview. I want to take that. No. I just need to do this for myself. I'd appreciate it if you would. You'd be amazed what could turn around just because you turned around. That is confidence. But it's not just confidence. You know what just happened? It became courage. That's what I wanted to come to. What I've trained up in my life, what you see me do when I do what I do, is not confidence. It is courage. Confidence says, I'm doing because I know I can do it. Courage says, I know I can't do it, but I'm doing it anyway. And you're not, courage doesn't take you there to prove a point to anybody. Courage takes you there to prove a point to you. Courage takes you there to validate you. Look, I'm presenting myself right now for political franchise and everything. And it's like, we're like, who does she think she is? Who do I think I am? I am a candidate and I qualify. You are who you are and you qualify. Qualify yourself by courage and you will grow confidence. You see, confidence and competences work together. But courage comes with capacity. It grows you. And when it grows you, it will grow confidence. They become pet peeves. They become like, look, I don't know, it's like popcorn, they'll start popping. Grow your courage. Step out with courage. Look at you with courage. Celebrate you with courage. If there's any journey to courage, it begins with you. You are your once upon a time, wherever you've been, like I've shared with you, and come to your happily ever after. But happily ever after is not in some future somewhere over there. Happily ever after begins today.
We've lost her again. The internet needs courage. It needs courage and confidence and competence.
International, she looks just like you, too afraid to speak out loud. And now it's time for your something. But you don't have to be discouraged. You need courage now to come to your breakthroughs. I'm not making up the words as I go along, but this is where it comes to fulfill divine purpose. You've got to answer to the call. So don't be afraid to be the one. Da, 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 da. Keep your dream alive. Don't let it die. If something deep inside of you keeps inspiring you to try, then don't stop and don't ever give up on you. Sometimes life will place a stumbling block in your way, but you've got to keep the faith and bring what's deep inside of your heart into the light. And don't ever give up. Don't ever give up on you. Don't give up. Don't give up. I may not have the best voice this morning, but I still had enough of a voice for you to hear me, even to hear me sing. So take what's left over and go and overdo, because you can. Break the bias. That's what you and I were born to do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please, can you give her a virtual round of applause in the chat? Thank you, thank you. Ma, you came and blew our minds. I'm so super grateful. They're showing you love in the chat. Thank you so much.
I
And
love you
someone
all.
said,
Thank you.
we love you. And she said,
Am I to run now? I'm actually on standby for another another presentation, but so if you have questions, I can't answer them immediately. Or can you give me 5 minutes? See me negotiating. I'm in their conference room. This is the Abuja Enterprise Agency. Ladies, whatever your skill sets, we need you to come this way. Do what you can do. Invest in a woman just like you. But better than that, invest in a city that's my city, happy city, Abuja, and here's trusting you will sooner than soon. Sweetheart.
Love you, ma'am.
Love you, love you, love you.
We will send you questions. Thank you so much. Happy International Women's Day. Thank you so much. We love you. All right.
You can DM your questions to me. Yes, on Instagram. All right. You can send it to me and I'll be responding. If you've got that, I'll do that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We love you. Thank you. All right, guys, how was that? Guys, how was that? How was that? How was that? Thank you. Yeah, I'm almost speechless because now I really have to jump into our next speaker because we need to move from one part session to the next part session. So Sister Tolu, can you please just help us do this in about 2 minutes? We can bring the next speaker because I know that all our speakers are super important people. They have things lined up. So please just help us use like 2 minutes. Yes, I know it was mind-blowing. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, so all right, yes. So quickly now we're moving over to our next speaker, and that's talking about Seun Adaramola. She's a creative thinker focused on exploring new realms of innovation, developing original and meaningful solutions to brand business problems, a well-rounded strategist with relevant experience in marketing, brand management, corporate communications, management consulting, and business development. She is passionate about consumer marketing, retailing, brand building, technology, product development, and entrepreneurship. Seun has delivered results across different markets, including Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, and United Kingdom. So I welcome Seun Adaramola. I'm sure that you do not want to miss this session. I mean, if you didn't get anything from the first one, then this one you don't want to miss. We have powerful speakers outlined here. She is next, and now you see me. Now you need to see you. Now you need to break the bias yourself, even as I hand you over to Seun Adaramola. On to you, Seun.
Thank you. Good morning, beautiful ladies. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, great. Happy International Women's Day, and thank you so much for inviting me for this session, Adela. I'm super excited. Adela is actually my coach, and when she reached out to me, I'm like, seriously? But really, I'm really excited to be here today, and I'm going to be speaking about how to boost your self-confidence in your career or in your business, because I'm mindful that we have a mixed audience of some people in career and some people running their own business. So basically, I'm just going to be sharing with you a case study of myself. Isn't that interesting? Basically, my own journey in terms of how I've been able to navigate, or I'm navigating my way through in the corporate world. And I'm going to start with a story. But first of all, I need to acknowledge Auntie Dayo. That was really awesome. And, you know, I'm so happy she spoke before me, because basically she's just reinforcing everything that I'm going to share with you today. I was really blessed by that. In fact, I wrote down something from what she said. She said something about courage is, and that actually that I'm going to end my session today. She said, courage it means I know I cannot do it, but I will do it anyway. Right? So I took that away from Auntie Dayo. and that is really, really strong. Now, starting with my story in the corporate world, but it's something that you can apply even if you run a business, right? So 3 years ago, I changed my role. You know, everybody she's the marketing director for Visa. Oh, wow, great. But sorry, it's not like that. I need to, and I'm going to be very truthful and down to earth with you. And 3 years ago, I changed my role. And I remembered before I got that role, 6 months before then, I knew I wanted to change my job, right? I wanted to do something else. And funny enough, that was a time where I was doing extremely well in my career, to be sincere. If I tell you some of the things I've done, you would be able to recognize with me that, okay, yes, that person was really doing well. I was doing extremely well. It was the high moment in my career. But I also know that there's something about times and seasons. When you are doing very well, that is also the time you need to leverage that time and season to pivot into something else before you plateau. So always just one of those things I just want to drop. Times and seasons are very important. And when you're at that level where you're doing really well, that might be the time where you need to really ask yourself, is it time for me to change the season? And I listed out top 5 organizations where I would like to work. And 6 months down the line, I don't even know anybody in this organization. I just wrote down the organizations, and one of them reached out to me, and I'm like, no, this is not true. I wrote this down 5 months ago, and you're reaching out to me. I don't even know anybody from this organization and all of that. And I'm like, okay. And I saw the role, I'm like, it's one of those ones, they won't waste my time, right? Because I know it's a top-notch role. It's going to be contested by everybody and all of that. I'm like, you know what? It's fine, I'm going to go for it. When I read the JD, I felt, you know what, this is actually the next thing I'm actually looking for. And because last 6 months ago, I'd done that exercise to say, I want to move. So I said, okay, let's go through the interview process. I went through the interview process, and lo and behold, I got the job, right? And the day I got my offer finally, after the back and forth, our long negotiation, you know, it dawned on me that I was going into a new season, and I was going into something new. And self-doubt came. I started doubting myself. This was me that had gone into interview, had competed with top-notch in the industry, I'd spoken all the English, you know, all the grammar, did all the presentation. And I was just looking at that offer letter, and I was doubting myself all of a sudden. This is me that was also coming from a role where I was high up there. Like, if you say this and that, and the sense of professional experience, I've achieved that. But you know why I was doubting myself was because of the magnitude of the role. Because the role requires that I'm going to be making decisions, and I'm going to be fully responsible for my decisions. I always tell people that I'm paid to spend money. So in marketing, we do campaigns, we run different initiatives to support the business, but we are actually spending the company's money. And this money is in dollars, right? And I'm like, actually, I'm going to be spending all that money, and I must deliver on that job. Prior to then, I've always been a leader, I have people that are reporting to me, but now the final decision stops on me. And I think that whelmed me a bit, and I was really worried. But what did I do? I told myself, okay, Seun, why? I remember I said, I'm telling you my story. Seun, why? So I asked myself certain questions. Seun, okay, why are you worried? What are the issues? I just did that audit. And that is where every time you're in that space where you are doubting yourself, take a step back and ask yourself sincere questions. Yeah. Why am I doubting myself? Why am I feeling this way? Why do I feel I don't have the confidence to do that presentation? Why do I feel I don't have all that it takes to manage that role or run that business? And I came up with 3 things. The first one was that I had knowledge gap. So this is an industry I was going into. Well, about 7 years ago, I'd been in that industry before. But because of the kind of industry it is, everything has changed, right? So I felt like, I don't think I understand what is going on here anymore, blah, blah, blah. But okay, good. Now you've identified that. The second one, I started comparing myself with people. This was me that went through an interview process with a blue chip company that was closely contested. And I'm still doubting my competence, right? This is me that I'm running campaigns that everybody's talking about in Nigeria, and I'm doubting myself. So I said, I was comparing myself. And you know what I was comparing myself with? My boss then. Like, this person is a genius, man. This person is fantastic. How will I be able to live up to this person, right? And I was just thinking I might not be able to fill that role. And then the third thing, just the boldness to embrace the fact that it's a new season. Because I was like, you know what, in this role, I can imagine when I go for meetings, the people that will be at the table, now it's a management role, it's a leadership role. And just the boldness to embrace it. I had issues with that. I said, okay, no problem. Now that you know the problem, at least half of it is solved. So I said, the first one is knowledge gap. How do I fix that? Then I went back to that company I used to work for 7 years ago. And I want to tell you something. In life, when you want to close the door gently. Do not slam it.
Mm-hmm.
Because let me tell you who I reach out to because indirectly we compete and we are also friends today. But let me tell you who I reach out to, the CEO of that company. If I mention the person's name, the top-notch person, you know the person. I reach out to the CEO, I reach out to the deputy CEO, one of the CEOs of the subsidiaries. And I said, I've gotten this role and I need help. But it was because of the relationship I had with them when I was there, I was able to go back and open that door. Yeah. Even though at that point it was as if maybe we were competing or not competing, it didn't really matter. It was just Shane was coming to talk to us and they were able to hear me out. So I had meetings with them. So I had 1 month of work before I joined. And I was busier than the person that was going to work every day because I just kept scheduling meetings with everybody, meaning I was preparing myself for the role. I kept scheduling meetings with everybody that I knew that had something to offer me. I was just wanting to just draw as much as possible to understand the industry, what I was going into. I knew the marketing bit wasn't the issue. Remember when they were introducing me, they said I always tell myself I'm a business and a marketing leader. So I just don't wear marketing hats, I wear the business hats. So I wanted to understand the business, I wanted to understand the industry, because that's where you offer value, not just your core competence. So I did all of that. I got a lot of information and all of that. And guess what? By the end of that month, I was pumped up. Showing good. We are ready for this role now. Remember, I told you I had 3 issues. The first one was knowledge gap. The second was comparing myself with people and thinking I was not going to meet expectations. And then the last one was embracing the role. So I thought I was good. The other two were like, no, it's okay. We'll be fine. We'll wing it through. And guess what? The first day I resumed at work. Oh my God. The first day I resumed at work, everyone was like, wow, awesome. We're so happy to see you. We've heard a lot about you. We believe you're going to be turning things around. Like, you are the Messiah we've been waiting for. You are going to change the whole world. And I'm like, the number 2 came back. I thought I'd conquered that number 2, right? But no, he came back because now expectations. People thought this person was going to come and turn things around, beautiful, pam, pam, pam. And I'm like, and I went back home after that, my first, and I was looking, I'm like, Sharon, are you sure you can do this thing? Are you sure? Meanwhile, my other place, they were still calling me back, and I'm like, maybe I should go back there. I'm not joking, I'm telling you guys the truth. I was like, maybe I should go back there and meet them. Like, you know what, this one, I'm not sure. Let me go back. But you know what? The third thing came, and the third challenge, the third issue I mentioned was embracing the role. And I'm like, ooh, now I have to embrace this role because the reality just dawned on me. And you know, when I was going in, I told myself I was not going to make any decision in the first 1 month. That was another way I had to convince myself. You know, the first 1 month was just to observe the organization and just learn. By day 2, in fact, what happened was I was meant to resume in June. They begged me to come in May because we needed to. There was a project that was at hand and it was the make or break, and we had to fix that project. So by day 2, I realized that you have to start making decisions and you have to embrace this role. So challenge 2 and 3 came back and they were realities for me. But you know what I had to do was to tell myself that, you know what, and that is my analogy about life. There are 3 ways of dealing with a situation. The first one, you face it, you succeed, right? The second one, you face it, you don't do well, but you learn from it. I don't think I ever fail at anything. I only learn. And I want you to take it today. You don't fail at anything, just learn a better way of doing it. That's all. And then number 3 is you don't even go for it at all and just chicken out. That's the 3 ways you can face any situation. But I told myself I was not going to chicken out of this one. I was going to face it because I'm a lion. I don't want to say lioness. I'm a lion, and I have the lion mindset. And whatever it takes, I'm going to face it, and I'm going to win. I don't want a situation where let it be that I tried my best and I learned from it. I didn't say I failed. I tried my best and I learned from it. Than chicken out. No, there's no way to chicken out. We don't chicken out in this business. That is not our formation. That is not who we are. We do not chicken out. We face the situation. We can only learn from it. So let me tell you, anytime you go through anything, always tell yourself, when that self-doubt comes, tell yourself, I can only learn from it. I cannot fail. Yes, I might not succeed, but I can only learn from it. So I started a role and I started making decisions and all of that. People were watching me. Expectations were there. In fact, there was a time where we had to execute a particular project, and that project, it was part of the project, actually, was an event as part of that project, and we invited about 500 people. At one point, I was like, when people come for this event, oh my God, that would be the worst of all. All this plenty money you're spending on this thing, blah, blah, blah. I said, Sean, don't worry, you'll be fine. Now, how do I deal with all of these things when it happens to me? Because it still happens to me. In fact, let me give you another one before I now tell you how I deal with this. This year, and that was just my journey, taking up the role. Now I've settled in. And if I look back now 3 years ago and I'm like, girl, why were you even worried? Why were you being like a chicken, right? Because I have gone through it. But if I didn't put forward, if I didn't stay in it, if I didn't go through the process, what I'm telling you today, I won't have that story to share. But I'm sharing this story because I chose to stay with it. And now that is another example I'm going to be giving of what happened to me this year. So this year I was, we all know about the AFCON tournament that took place in January, right? And we were one of the official sponsors, and I had to work on the project, lead the project in West and Central Africa with some of my team members. And I had to do something called trophy tour. So a trophy tour is when you showcase the trophy tournaments, the trophy itself, and everybody comes to watch watch it, take pictures and all of that. Now, in my own case, I had to travel with the trophy during a tournament. That trophy that I saw that was presented on the 9th of February to Senegal, I had to travel with that trophy before the 9th of February, on the 31st of January, to be precise. And not just travel with it, yes, I had security, right? But not just travel with that trophy, I had to sleep in the hotel room with that trophy. I was going to show you some pictures. So you could have asked me how I slept that night, if I slept well or not. And I remember when I was going through that experience, somebody asked me, somebody I truly respect so much, the person asked me, why are you doing this? What, in the middle of a tournament, in that kind of a country, you're carrying a trophy? I know something will flash your mind that, what if I get attacked and the news just goes around, AFCON trophy is missing, blah, 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 because it's falling out. And all of that was going on. The person came and said, why are you doing this? And I said, it's a choice. I decided to be brief about this and I'm going to do it. So that happened to me and I went through it. And guess what? When I went through that experience, 2 weeks later, somebody called me and said, would you like to do this again? And I was like, come on, bring it on. I've gone through it and I'll do it again. But at that point in time, I was like, no, it was the longest 24 hours of my life. If I slept, if I did not sleep, I can't remember. I just knew that I had to deliver. I couldn't wait to deliver it that night. Eventually when we finished the entire program and all of that. But I decided I was going to think about it. Now, bringing it home closer, why is it important that you have to have self-confidence in your career? See, let me tell you the truth. I'm a very frank person, and until that has given me the permission to say the things I have to say, right? If you're not confident, it's a disservice to yourself. You're changing yourself and you're cheating yourself. That's what I always tell myself. Those people that you look at, you think they're confident. You think me coming to do this presentation today is confident. No, it's courage. Ask Adela when she called. And yesterday, I've been dodging her. Like, Adela, no. I'm not mentally ready for this thing. But I decided I was going to do this. It's courage. And you're just going to be changing yourself if you're not confident, because you're going to keep looking at other people and you're going to be thinking there's something personal about it. It's a choice. Yes. You have to make that choice. And what happens those times when I'm not confident, when I feel I'm not up to it? Competence. Remember that Antioch spoke about competence. When I told you I was booking all those meetings and trying to learn about the industry, that's where competence comes in. So you have to do your homework, that competence bit. See, you just have to do it. Competency drives away fear. When you're competent about something, automatically fear will leave because you know what you're doing. Now, you might even be now that competent, but now you're still struggling, which is embracing that thing. That's when you have to start doing what I call, you need to silence the voice of self-doubt by talking to yourself. See, I have a friend that something she calls it oxygen. She just writes a little bit of affirmation about herself and she uses herself all the time. I know Oprah Winfrey does that. And Oprah does that. I know Jennifer Lopez also does that. You need to have your own self-affirmation where when you're in those systems, you tell yourself, I know one of the things I do, I go back and I remember the things I've done that have been successful. I tell myself, show you did this and that. Show you, and just pause here. If you don't keep record of your success, it's not good. You need to get a journal where every time you achieve something, write it down because you might forget. We forget easily. I go back to those things. I tell myself, show you that you did this and that. You did X, Y, Z. You did it. Why are you getting? Why can't you embrace this? So remember, the best that can happen is that you will learn from this situation. Sometimes I have, because of my role, sometimes I go for a lot of media interviews. I have speaking sessions. And I'll finish and I'm like, so I don't think you did fantastically well. But do you think the next speaking session I'll say no? No. Because I tell myself, you know what, I've learned from that one. Maybe I did not prepare very well. Maybe whatever it is, I take my learnings and the next opportunity will come and I'll do better than that. So I don't chicken out. I don't allow my past learnings. I don't want to use your failure, to make me chicken out of things. I choose courage. So today, all I want to tell you is, according to what Auntie Dayo has said, you need to start talking to yourself and start believing that you can do these things. Sometimes we are always waiting for a mentor to speak to us. Mentors are good and I have a lot of mentors in my life. Sometimes you are waiting for a friend. We are always waiting for somebody, want somebody to ginger us. Be your own ginger. Be your own booster. Be your own ginger, be your own booster. Talk to yourself. Tell yourself, I can do this. The people that are doing this, they don't have 10 edge. Worst case scenario, I will only learn from it. That is all. But that confidence, and one thing that happens when you're not confident in the workplace, it affects you going higher in the career ladder or even in your business. Because you can imagine somebody coming to tell you something and they don't believe in what they are saying. Will you follow that kind of leader? A leader comes and you can sense, and people can sense if you're not confident. You can sense that this person doesn't believe in what they are saying. You think I'll follow that kind of person? No. When you go and believe in what they're saying first before you come and sell it to me. So that's why I said you're changing yourself if you're not confident about something. You need to also ensure that from a career standpoint, it's just one of those things that you need, because if you don't have it, you can't grow. You can't really. I've seen situations where they're doing appraisals and reviewing people, and just because of self-confidence, they've dropped some people from getting promoted. This thing is a serious thing. See, what I'm trying to tell you today, if you could take anything away, just remember, you're not being confident. It's just, you're changing yourself. You're changing destiny. So you have to tell yourself, it's like something, let me ask you a question. If something is about to come to kill you, and you know that you can face this thing and fight this thing, will you turn your back at that thing? Will you face that thing and say, no, we'd rather die there or live there, right? I'm not going to chicken out for you. Let's see that I died fighting, not that I chickened out. That has to be your mindset on anything. And it will always happen. See, I can go into another meeting tomorrow and I'm like, these bosses are going to be there. How am I going to present? No, let's not do that. They are going to, remember, you have what it takes. I talk to myself. They don't know this market more than you. You have what it takes. You know what you are going to say. So, and I just do my own work, and I just self-talk myself, and I just write, and I just do it. So I just want to just encourage everybody, just try to just believe in yourself. Rise up, just raise up and shake yourself and say, I can do this, right? And that thing again, that you need to recognize your strengths and weaknesses. It's not, if you know, focus on your own area of expertise and don't try to be like somebody else. And they already told us, be authentic, be original. When it comes to your area of strengths and expertise, master it. And when it's time to show up well. Always tell yourself, I will show up well. Set realistic goals achievable goals for yourself. Sometimes also we put ourselves under pressure because of people's expectation. And we set things that are not, we know that we're not able to do it. And when you are faced with it, I'm not saying that you should know, there's something that you know that this one, it's not just right? You know, it's not right. So why are you setting those kind of goals? That's also, there's no need putting yourself under that kind of pressure. It's not required. And then I also think another thing you need to do is to define what confidence means to you as a person. What does it mean? My definition might not be the same definition for you. My definition is that whatever situation, I'm able to rise up above any situation. I'm able to face it, and I don't chicken out. I will never chicken out in any situation in life. I'm going to face any situation. Maybe the way you want to define it for yourself might be a bit different. It might be even, I don't know, this thing is, you can practice it in different areas. It might be around public speaking. Let me speak a bit about public speaking because I feel like looking at it, or networking. Let's use networking. A lot of times people don't network because they don't have confidence, right? And you need to tell yourself, what's the worst case scenario that will happen if I go and approach that person in a networking session? The person will walk away. So, big deal. I'll walk up to somebody else and I'll talk to somebody else. It's as little as that. You know, so basically, like Auntie Dayo said, I'm going to be leaving you with courage to say you might not have everything it takes to do something, but just go for it. It is when you are in it that you get the confidence to do it. Never chicken out of any situation in life. Never. No matter what. Face it and trust me, the strength will come when you're in that situation. Thank you, and happy International Women's Day.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Seun. Please, just before you run, we would like to ask you some questions. Please permit me to ask you a few questions just before you run. Thank you so much. Never chicken out, always face it. And guys, if you don't know, Seun is one of the most brilliant people I know. So I remember the first time, yes, I remember the first time when we met, you know, there was a day I was talking and I went quiet. In my heart, I was like, she's so good. Like, what's going on? Like, I was like, when I was talking to her, I was like, well, Seun, you're so good. Like, you shouldn't be feeling this, but you're so good. You know, I was coming from a very deep place. I said, you're so good. And he hasn't changed. You're still so good. You're still so good. So well done, Seun, well done, you know. And there's something you mentioned on one of our calls, and I'm doing that thing now. I'll talk to you about it. I'll send you a private message. I'll tell you a private message. I'll talk to you about it. But let me just ask you real quick. You know, I'm sure some of the women here want to get the answer to some of these questions. Sure, sometimes the workplace is stacked against us. That's what a lot of people understand bias as. And please, if you have questions for Seun, please drop it quickly so we can ask her. She's going to run off in a very few minutes, just a few minutes. When I see your question, we're going to try send that to DBL, to Auntie D. Please send your questions in for Seun. So Seun, for women who are currently, they're working right now, and they feel like the organization, they feel like there is no way out. You know, there's some organizations that you work in, and it's such a male-oriented organization, not because they are bad people, but that's just how it is. Maybe it's an engineering firm, and you're just like, there are really no opportunities for growth here. So all of this confidence and courage, there's really nothing I can do with this. What do you say to someone like that?
Okay, so if you are very sure, you need to be sure there's no room for growth, to be sincere, because I know that there's always opportunities in everything. You just have to open your eyes and see from a different perspective. But if it's someone that has come to that point where he or she, or this is a women's forum, you feel that there's no room for growth, then maybe you can start looking at other areas where you think you can find growth opportunities for yourself. Or is it a case of you feel that you are not able to express yourself, and that's why you think there's no room for growth? So we need to be clear. Is it like an industry thing where the industry is saturated and there's not so much that you can do? Or just because you have men on the table that you feel that they are choking you and your voice cannot be heard? There are two different situations. Now, if it's an issue where there are so many men on the table and you think your voice cannot be heard, there are a lot of ways you can address that. So one of the things is that you also have to be very competent, very more than them. So if they were studying or whatever they are doing for 4 hours, you have to start spending like maybe 6-7 hours to get ahead of them. So that when you go into those meetings, you talk. One thing I also realized that women, we don't talk. When we go into meetings, we keep quiet. When you sit at the table, you never keep quiet, you talk. Not that you're just going to open your mouth because you want to open your mouth, but you're going to open your mouth and you're going to say what is ready back. But never keep quiet at the table. Even if there are men there, you open your mouth and talk. And you have to be confident about what you're saying. See, some people have been into meetings where, this person is yarning trash. But the level of confidence that this person gives to yarning trash, even you buy the trash, because after you meeting, like, welcome, buy it so now. It's trash. there's no substance to this thing. What level of confidence? Yeah. So even if you are at the table and they are all men, please do not be quiet. And when you speak, especially in those kind of situations, you have to sit and like the boss also. I remember the story of Kamala Harris. That's one of those women that I follow, and I just love her life, how she speaks and how bold she is. And she just gave something similar to that was at a meeting. And when people are introducing her, they try to say Kamala Harris the singer, and like, no, I'm the Kamala Harris, the investment banker. And when she speaks in those kind of meetings, she speaks with authority. You just have to just speak and you don't keep quiet at the table. Now, if you feel your voice is not being heard, when you speak, somebody still put it aside, that is fine. But the main thing that you've said it and somebody is noticing that thing. One day when there's opportunity, there might be maybe somebody they're looking for somebody to fill a role. They will call somebody in that organization where you think that your voice has not been heard and ask them about you. And the person said that, well, maybe the person's voice is not heard, but the person actually has an opinion, the person says this and that. But you can imagine it because of somebody been keeping quiet. The day of judgment where they want to reference you, nobody can speak for you because you've been trying to adapt yourself to the environment. So if it's that the situation, always speak at the table. But if it's an industry thing where you think there's no opportunity in the industry, then I'll tell you to where looking at your own competencies, looking at your passion points, where do you see the next move? And start building networks, new relationship to move into that industry. If you have to start doing courses, it's also important to do courses to build the competencies. But what's also important that relationships are very key. Relationship is key. Build relationships. And I don't know if I've been able to answer that question, but it's just.
Thank you. You did a very good job answering it. You did an excellent job answering it, Sho. And I have just one more question for you, Sho, just before you run. Now, what is one of the greatest weaknesses you see amongst us women? So here's where I'm directing the question. A lot of women are, well, maybe not a lot of women, but some of us want to rise. And you touched on it a bit, and I want you to expand on it. That's why I'm touching it. So a lot of us want to rise, but we're not competent. When I say we're not competent, we really don't know the job. So we really are not even willing to do the work, to learn, to go to school, to acquire the knowledge. When I say go to school, I don't mean a degree. Like do a course to improve your knowledge on that topic in that area, that sort of thing. So I want you to talk to us about that. Like, what is the role of competence in this entire journey? I know you touched a bit about that, but I want you to expand on it. Like how, and I know you are a personal development guru, and that's why I'm directing this question, because a lot of us come out of school, get into jobs, and pray for promotion. So we pray, we hope, we believe, we're confident, we're attending seminars and everything, but we're not necessarily doing what is required with respect to learning and getting the required knowledge. So please shed more light on that just before you close.
Okay, so I really like that question. And to be sincere, I think there are two things in terms of you growing, the competency part of it, but there's also the relationship part. Those are the two currencies you need in your career. Competency, which is performance, and relationship. Now, your question is more around the competency, the performance part, but I'm also going to talk about the relationship currency. Now, on the performance part of it, or the competence, you being a competent person and all of that, basically you have to first of all do something what I call a self-audit, to thyself the truth. What are the issues I'm having today? Where are my shortfalls? Is it that I want to move into a particular role? What are the things I need for that role? And let me also drop this. One of the mistakes we make is that we always feel that if I want to move into a leadership role, it's until when I get into that role. No. For you to get into a role, people must have seen you in that role before you get into it. So like my next role now where I want to move into, I'm already acting in that role, in that capacity. If people don't see you in that role, they cannot put you in that role.
Yes.
That is the mistake we all make. We always feel like, okay, so when I become that next manager, and I begin to behave like a manager, if you are a subordinate, now begin to behave like a manager, so that when the conversations come in the workplace to say, who do you want to be a manager? They can easily think about it because they already see you. It's all about perception. They already see you in that regard. And what do you then have to do to become? And you're going a step above who you have to or what you do today. You need to, obviously, if it's a course you want to do, go ahead and do the course, depending on what that thing is. Sometimes it might require that you do a certification, go and do it. But one of the things I also find very valuable is peer-to-peer mentoring. See, some of us will like books, it's good, but the amount of information you will get from sitting down with people who are experienced at that thing than just going to school. You have to balance both, right? Yes, you need the theoretical knowledge, I agree. But peer-to-peer mentoring, you cannot take it away. There's so much you can. Imagine if I want to be going to, maybe I also, okay, project management is one of those things I want to focus on now. If I spend the next 6 months interacting with 3 solid project managers who've done all the certification and all of that, but for somebody who just go and do the course, what do you think? What will happen? The only thing that I might not have the certification, but the knowledge, everything that is required in and out, I will have it. So it's not just about getting a degree. Talking to people about it, networking with people that have that experience is also very important, which I call peer-to-peer mentoring. And can be someone that is older than you, but I like to use peer-to-peer because now it's not just about somebody that is higher than you. Your peer can mentor you. That is the kind of mentorship we are seeing a lot now that is even adding a lot of value, that peer-to-peer mentorship. The other bit is that you just ensure that you already, whatever you've learned, act it out, begin to have that mindset that you're already in that role and all of that. And then the next thing will then be your relationship currency in that organization or in that industry or in that business. See, no matter how much you know, somebody has to be, sorry, I'm going to go into this because one of those things I talk about, somebody has to be speaking for you at the table. You need to have sponsors that speak for you at the table. I know in politics, they call them godfathers, right? Or sometimes people can say, it's politics, blah, 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 corporate politics. I'm not here to talk about corporate politics today, let's use that. But you just have to have somebody that speaks for you at the table. Because you can be acting in that role. And you're not the only one acting in that role also. If you want a manager, you are a subordinate, you want to become a manager. But you're not the only one that think that you should be doing that now. Competency is not enough to move it to the next level. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Performance is not enough. You need relationship currency, which is when networking comes in, building relationship with people, just different things, just to ensure that it's not, I don't call it politics, so I call it networking, I call it building relationships and all of that. But if you are in an organization to go up the ladder and you've been keeping to yourself, you're changing yourself. You need to now start talking to people. Those are the people that will recommend you. People that are not just kind of any person. Someone that has a stick at the table, that when the person speaks, people will hear the person. The other bit to then also be around, if you're a business person, who are those people in your business or in your industry that can open doors for you? Start networking with them. All very important. So it's not, I'd like to answer your question. For me, it's not a case of just competency. It's not just a case of getting a degree. We have people who are brilliant. Because let me tell you, when they are at that table to make that decision, they will narrow down to like maybe 3 people. Maybe they come from 100. They will narrow down to 3 people. And trust me, all the 3 people would have all it takes to do that job from a technical standpoint, from a performance standpoint. But you know what is going to be different? What will differentiate them is the relationship that they have at that table that will speak for them. So I would just don't get competencies, don't get build alone, build good relationships that will speak for you where you are not there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Seun. Thank you so much. So this is so powerful. So for those of you who are listening right now, if you heard clearly what Seun said, competence is not enough. You need to build relationships. I was taking notes while you were talking. I said you need to build relationships because you need someone to be speaking for you in those places of decision. So for those of you that like to keep to yourself, when it's lunchtime, you go and stay by yourself. You don't want to talk to anybody in the office. You don't want to talk to anybody. You don't know anybody. Nobody knows you. Congratulations. Seun said, and I quote, that you are shortchanging yourself, which is very, very right. Seun, thank you so, so much. I know you have to run. I know your time is precious. I know you have to spend money. I know you have to spend money. So please go and spend money. And please don't spend naira, please. I don't want to be hearing it. Please, you're spending dollars and pounds and euros, please, yen, stuff like that. Please keep spending. Please keep spending. And I mean, to have to spend, to have to spend, let us see. Sure, thank you so much. It's been an amazing time having you.
Sorry, I have to rush. I'll see. They're already calling me for my next meeting. I need to go. Thank you so much.
All right then.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. So I'll hand over now to our beautiful elegant compare. Over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Seun, for that, and a very interesting session here today, particularly for me. This is something I wish I had started earlier, because I lost it all. I lost all confidence. I lost everything at some point in time. I'm just regaining myself. So I'm going to take out this time. I want everybody to just do this. If you have to write it down, you can just send it. Yeah, go ahead and do that. And if you have, write it down, but also confess it to yourself. I've been doing that since, since this just dropped in my mind. And that is, I break the bias. Now you see me. Now you're going to see me. Now you're going to really see you trust me. So please write that down if you have to write that down. Confess it to yourself. Remember, Seun said something about affirmation. Was it Seun? Yes, no, sorry. Auntie D said affirmation. It is very, 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 very important. Affirmations are very important. Just keep saying it to yourself till you believe it. I mean, I keep saying, I had a brief stint at branding, and they said, and I always, when I want to define branding for people, I always say branding is the ability to you're saying white, but I get to convince you that this is black. So for me, that is how affirmations actually work. Affirmations, even when you're at the lowest of the lowest, you keep telling yourself, this is who I am, and this is what it is, and this is what it will eventually be, because you start working in those words. So right now I'm going to say it once again, and I want you to say it. I want you to type it. I break the bias. Now you're going to see me, and now you're really going to see Tolu. Okay, thank you so much, Seun Adaramola, for that session. Another very thrilling session. We are due for a break. Break. So we're going to have 5 minutes break. Do we go on with the break, Diola?
So I think we can go ahead because our next speaker is here. So I think we can just jump right in.
So let's go on to our next speaker. So I'll just round off everything right now. And so it is a pleasure now to introduce to you another heavy and she is a purpose-driven life coach focused on helping people discover their why and transform talents to value creation. She has over a decade work experience across supply chain operations in a top consumer packaging goods company with presence in over 100 countries globally. Her expertise ranges from core operational management, lean and agile workplace, financial management, and overall business leadership. Her quest and love for knowledge consistently reflects in her being a critical resource person on various topics. And as a biochemist undergraduate, she was a pivotal part of the scientific research, vitamin C and garlic, allium sativum ameliorates and biochemical alterations induced in lead-exposed rats, which was published in an international journal. Her passion for young people and academics has motivated her to be a contributor to NGOs, encouraging students, especially young women, to make informed life and career decisions. She has also been a keynote speaker at several events and a one-time TEDx speaker on A Way Forward. She's also a member of the African Women Honors and Empowerment in Nigeria and currently works at Procter & Gamble as the senior finance manager for the EMEA Fabric Care business unit. Jimmy Sayo, no, I'm not funnying about that. Sorry about that, Jimmy Sayo. Jimmy Sayo is happily married and the union is blessed with 2 sons. Jimmy Sayo, please pardon me. I was not going to pronounce your name at all. So Jimmy Sayo,
Thank you.
how are you? Good to
Very
meet
good. Thank you. So good to be here.
Okay, go ahead.
So good to be here. Thank you for having me here.
Now we see Jimmy
Now you see me. Do you
Yeah.
mind giving me the sharing right? I've been trying to share my screen so I can share my slides. Are you able to give me the sharing right? I'm trying to share my screen. Do you mind?
So if we're gonna try now, but can you just send? You can send the documents if we're finding it difficult via email. Then I'll share it. Yes.
Okay, just a second. Let me try and do that. The site actually thought it was. Okay, I'll share it with you right away. While I'm doing that, thank you very much for having me here today. I think it's been a powerful session. I was able to join in with while the last speaker was talking, and then briefly also when our host started at the beginning. So I think it's the perfect time to have this kind of conversations, and there's no better time to break the bias than now. So it's really been an honor, and it's an honor to actually be here today to be able to have this discussion. So I'm sending it right away. I just can confirm to me once you can see it. Or do you want to give me a right to share? It's while this is going, because it's telling me that it has been disabled. Screen sharing is disabled. Okay, let me just. Can you see it yet? Do you have it here? Okay, now I can see. Now the screen is working actually, so you don't have to. Okay, you can let me know once you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Okay. So thank you once again. And then I'll just go into the topic right away. I guess the view is not allowing me to show the right way. So sorry about that.
Yes, you can go ahead. It's fine. Are you trying to use the slideshow view?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. It's perfect now. You see it.
Well, I think there's just one more second, please. It's even though it's showing for you, but it's a bit different for me. So I just wanted to be sure it's not from here.
Okay.
Which is strange though. I'm also sending it as an option so that it's whichever one works faster, please. Apologies for this delay.
The one you just showed us now, it was okay. We saw it on presenter view. It was fine.
Oh, okay. You were able to see the full screen.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, we were able to see the yes.
Okay. I guess I'll go ahead while. Okay. 1 minute. I think it's working now. Sorry, I guess we should have actually taken our break so we don't delay. Okay, so we're breaking the bias, and we say it's a journey to confidence. That's our topic for today, and so sorry for the delay.
It's fine.
So we're going to talk about what drives your confidence. Interesting. I think we're going to be talking about similar things virtually everybody has talked during this session today, which is majorly, on the same topic of confidence and how we're breaking the bias. However, I'm going to be coming from a slightly different angle from what you probably have seen before or you've heard before in this case. Now, I'll share with you a short story, a short scenario that happened a couple of weeks ago. So I happened to be a part of a team that needed to mentor certain students. They are, so think of final year students already graduating from several schools, various schools in India, actually. So these students were like think of the super duper A students that you can ever think of. So they were the amazing, excellent 4.9/5 kind of GPA, 6.89/7 kind of GPA students. I mean, that's smart, intelligent students from the various disciplines. So you can think of IT, engineering, and over time they've had scholarships because they came from their whole, the denominative factor is actually that they're from humble backgrounds, okay? And being from humble backgrounds, they've had, the only reason why they've been able to go through that level of, exposure, trainings, and the whole schooling has been because of sponsorships. Now, in that session, during the mentoring session, one common question that kept coming up from most of them, especially the women out of them, were, okay, how am I going to be confident when I'm going to when I need to go get a job right now? I'm not confident enough. What do I need to do differently? And isn't it very funny that, someone that is that smart will still be asking, how can I be confident, right? Mm-hmm. You wonder, if I had your GPA, I'll just walk into any place and say, just get me a job, right? So, and a lot of, it was just a common question, and which was quite strange. It was quite strange to say, how come everybody was asking the same question regarding this? Oops, sorry, did my system? How come everybody's asking the same question about confidence? In this case, do people that actually have this level of, brilliance, do they actually need? Do they need to have a level of confidence? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. So which is what we're trying to talk about today. Oh, awesome. Apparently, I now have the right view. Sorry. So
I'll just let me know when to click next. I'm controlling it from here.
Oh, are you the one sharing the screen?
Yes.
Oh, awesome. Okay. I see you've taken over my screen. Okay. So, and then, they all come up and say, okay, on the long run, we all need confidence. We all need this confidence. You actually wonder and say, oh, these guys are super smart. You have smashing results. You should get up. Your shoulder should be high. People should see you. However, one thing you can remember I mentioned from the start was they're all from humble backgrounds, humble beginning, which means over time, they're probably either the only ones or out of their family members, for most of them, because they had a bit of profile for each of them that was being shared. So either the only ones within the family or within their whole community to actually have this level of training or this level of educational achievement. And it just further tells you that confidence goes beyond your ability, which was, I think that was one of the things our last speaker was talking about as a part of competence, right? However, it goes beyond that. It's the story you have either been told or you've told yourself long enough that you now believe about yourself. And it's what reflects in whatever it is that you're doing. Okay? So have you ever heard and thought about people that say, oh, okay, this person actually committed suicide, and you're wondering, really, you actually have it all now. We know you. This person had this person had that, and you're wondering what's happening, because what you have seen that person is the supposed flaw you have, and say, okay, but this person seems to have this. If I only had half of what this person had, I'll probably be very confident. So there are quite a lot of things that are in our mind today that says, if I came from this background, if I had this. So there is a particular gap. There is a particular confidence gap you have in which you tell yourself today, if only I have this, if only I had that. So we've projected something in our mind of what it is that is that barrier okay, that is driving us away from being the confident person we should be. Now, I'll go a bit into the myth about confidence before we go into the real myth of this topic today. Number one, you probably have heard that some people were born confident. Have you ever seen a child before and somebody say, this child is so confident? I mean, super confident. How come this child just comes up like that and confident? Like, it must have been born with it. This person was actually born very confident. You can go to the next slide. You know, some people can actually seem naturally more confident than the other when you look at them in terms of their posture, maybe their personality. They look like it. Now, but the truth is, it is more of an acquired skill than an inherent trait. It is not something that is built into your inherent DNA, like your eye color, your hair color. It's a skill. Everyone can develop it. Everyone can strengthen it like a muscle. And one of these key skills to getting it is to try new things. You know, like she mentioned, you can have the level of confidence before you do certain things. But when you get into the midst of the water, you know, you start finding out that, okay, when you try new things, you'll probably feel different when you try new things. And it's okay. It's normal. Trying new things will come with that feeling. But then the trust that you are capable and you will learn as you go is what gets you into it. So nobody was born confident. The more you keep working at things, you develop confidence, you will get better at it. You get to master those things, the more you will gain confidence in those abilities. So we need to break free from the labels of what confidence look like when it comes to certain people were born with it. This guy is just a confident guy. I mean, sometimes it's in the looks. I guess it's in the look. When we see certain people come in, I mean, the way they look, their whole personality, we say, oh, this person has to be very confident. And it's not about that. It's not about the look. It goes beyond that, basically. Okay, the next slide, please. And the other part of the myth is extroverted nature. There are so many extroverts that are not confident. And that's what we forget. We actually assume that naturally, because you're an extrovert, you will be confident. Or the only reason why you're not confident is because you're an introvert. No, it's not a personality trait. There are so many people that think that when people are all over the place, then they are confident. That's actually not it. Some people also can be quiet, more reserved, and still be confident. So if you think you're not the outgoing type, it does not take away you from being confident. You're thinking, okay, I'm not the kind of person that would be confident at all. It's not going to happen. It is possible. It's not about the nature. It's not about the personality, as it were, in this case. There are so many seemingly extroverts people that even their whole level of confidence is actually very low. So it's not about this introvertish or being extrovertish. So it's not the reason why you lack confidence. There's so many factors why you lack confidence if you're not confident today. It's internal. Now, a lot of part-time, we are what we think. You will see that our reality mirrors our thoughts most of the time. So it's more from within than it is outwardly. So it's not going to be okay because I can easily go around or navigate this place is what gets me to be confident or not. That's not what it is about. And which takes me also to the next one, about saying it's about success. And if you recall where I started from, and when I was emphasizing on the fact that, have you ever seen people commit suicide and you're wondering what happened? What happened to this person? How come this person seems successful in everybody's term? You know, in our book, this person has to be a successful person. How come this person is still not okay? Because it's beyond what you call success. It's beyond what we can call tangible. So success is not the reason for you to be confident. Actually, it's actually the other way around. So success can give you a certain boost, maybe because as a cycle in itself, but you don't actually need to be successful in order to be confident. There's a part of believing in yourself, the conviction that you have the ability to meet life challenge, to succeed, and the willingness to act. Once you do that, over time, in short, it's more about understanding yourself itself and feeling secure in who you are than in having a particular standard definition of success, because it's actually in the confidence that actually gives you back the success, not the other way around. You see what this quote by Travis Badri. Yes, they exude confidence. Successful people exude confidence, but it's not their success that actually makes them confident. It's the confidence that you had first that actually made you successful in the first place, and then the cycle continues like that. So as you have some small challenges, you learn to grow and take on greater challenges, which is why, you know, we learn from even the last speaker that we should celebrate our small wins. There will be certain things you do, and then you say, oh, if I can do this, I can do another one, right? I want to be able to say, yes, good, I'm doing this well, I can do another one well. So you can start with small challenges, watch your confidence grow over time as you meet the goal you were setting. Eventually, when you reach it, you feel like, okay, your confidence level would keep boosting up, but it's not about being successful actually itself. That makes people confident. It's okay to fail, like she mentioned, learn, right? It's okay to fail. The good thing is fail fast, and learn from it and move on. It's not really a failure if you've learned from it. So successful people are not the only confident people. Confident people actually are the ones that success. Okay. And the next myth is that, it's the absence of fear. I think our host started with this at the beginning of while she was opening the program itself. It's not absence of fear. Confident people are not always confident. And the truth is, it actually fluctuates. There will be certain spaces where you'll find yourself, even as a person that seems confident to everyone, that you feel, I don't know how to do this. But guess what? You're going to go ahead and do it afraid. That's the difference. The difference is confident people go ahead and get it done regardless of their feeling. This person made an example. I taught myself confidence. You walk into a room, you have to be, once you believe something so much, every other person will believe it about you. So what happens today is when you lack confidence, you've actually believed that so much as well that every other person is going to believe it over time about you. So that's the same thing. So self-esteem can increase, it can decrease over time constantly. So once you are familiar with certain things, you get to be more confident about it. It's just like somebody tells you to talk to primary school students and teach them about maybe their homework, and you feel, okay, I'm confident. Why should I be afraid about that? So when you're a bit familiar with certain things, you feel you feel a bit great. Unlike when you are going to a brand new situation, there's a level of assurance that drops. And it is expected. Even experts will tell you it is expected. It's not something to be worried about. You have fears that cripple your confidence in certain occasions, and that's still fine too. But you have to keep it going. The feelings will always happen. It's just normal. It's more of a learning experience, even when you fail at it. And you can't even grow as a person when you don't have these things to teach you. So confident people get scared. They fail as well. They just don't let it stop them. So if there's something you need to have at the back of your mind, is that, yes, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to not get it done the right way. It's okay to not even understand how to do it, but you're going to get it done regardless. So that's why you need to do it afraid. The next myth, which is the fifth one, is spotlight, that they want to be the center of attraction. If I want to be confident now, that means I always have to be in the spotlight. I have to be the center of attraction to everybody. And, I have to make people know I'm important. And sometimes, yes, it's normal for people to want to either be in the spotlight or even either all the time or partially. But it's not about how that is. It's about you. It's more about your internal belief than it is of being a center of attraction. It's not about where you stand or the positioning. Most importantly, what is important in confidence is being secured in who you are versus trying to show off or versus trying to be acceptable or accepted by other people. So the fact that you're not in the spotlight always doesn't mean you're not confident as well. Validation of others is not the goal. The goal is not to get validated by others. The goal is to be secured in who you are, and the goal is to get things done regardless of how you feel. And the last myth I want to mention, there might be way more others than this, but the last one I would like to talk about is having it all, perfection, on the myth, makes you confident. It's a total lie. Now, over time, especially in these days where you have social media, there is a view of perfection, right? You have a view of perfection. There's a perfect body for women, especially. There's a perfect family. There's a perfect way to parent. There's a perfect way to be this person. There's a perfect way to even be a leader, to be a boss lady. You hear, okay, being a boss lady, there's a perfect way to be it. And over time, we hear for you to be it, there's this whole standard, unseen, unsaid, unspoken, but then over time, it's being taken in as a standard of how it should be. When you leave short of that, then you start getting worried and you start getting robbed of your confidence. There was this particular study by Sheryl Sandberg, and it says, I don't know if you've probably seen it before, talking about the fact that 60% of qualifications, while when men rather apply for a job, they meet 60% of the qualifications. While women, they wait to only apply for the ones where they meet 100%. Let me give you an instance. So recently, there was a particular role that I saw for a mentee of mine. And I realized, oh, okay, I looked at it and then I looked at the requirements. Even though I saw that it looked like it was not really for her because there were so many skills required, but I wanted her to apply regardless. Now, but the interesting thing was, while I was trying to check on the page, I saw something about that organization. It's a global organization. And they wrote, they know it's tough. They were saying, okay, try to avoid confidence gap. You don't have to match all the listed requirements exactly to be considered for this role. And that is our major issue, especially as women. Now, while we can say Sheryl Sandberg's study was a bit subjective because a couple of people have come to say it's not exactly, that percentage is not entirely correct, that women don't necessarily wait for 100% of the qualification before they apply. And men don't necessarily have just apply for when they miss 60%. But overall, what has been accepted by everyone is that when women versus men look at a website to apply for a particular job, women are less likely to apply for the position, especially when it's senior than their current position. And whenever they then apply, they're actually more considered for the role than even the men. So interesting thing is that, yes, we can't be looking back and say, okay, I want to be perfect. I want everything to be fine. The role is saying you need to be X, you need to be Y, you need to be this. And until you have that particular skill, you cannot be accepted. It is not the truth. That is not what makes you confident. It is not. It's a perception of what you think is perfect to you. So you have already looked at it and said, this is what is required. Once I don't meet this, I cannot even be considered. There can be stretch roles. You can apply for them. I mean, and it's coming from a place of confidence. And let me give you an example as well. When I was applying to start at my organization years ago, and it was the role that was being required was engineering. So they needed to have process engineers, and it was both mechanical engineers and electrical engineers that were really being hired. But I guess what really helped me as at that time, because looking at my confidence level, even though I had a bit of understanding of what I could do or a lessons of belief, there was still a part of me that what made me apply was the fact that I saw that, oh, there's a bit of request that, okay, for people that has science background, engineering background, there was a general recruitment around that time. So I then saw that science part. I said, okay, I should be able to apply for this. And someone submitted my CV then. And that was me being a biochemist going for a role that was for engineers, for mechanical and electrical engineers. And I didn't even realize it until I got there, wrote the exam, passed the exam, and then it was interview stage. And I realized, okay, this is what I'm going in for. I'm being considered for a process engineering role. And here I am thinking, okay, what's going to happen? But guess what? It was way beyond what I thought, to say, okay, it wasn't just about the level of qualification I had. It was more of so many other things that was a lot of principles that were being looked at for, a lot of analytical skills and the likes of it. And I wouldn't have known if I never even tried to go ahead with it. And that's what happens to us a lot of times. We run away and say, waiting for the perfect condition to get things done. You can't wait for the perfect situation before you make move. That is the real confidence. Is not saying, okay, when I have the skill, while it's important to have the skill, the skill is actually very good. Just like I think the last speaker also mentioned about the skill. Competence gives you a level of boost, a level of confidence, a level of courage, and it makes you go ahead when you have competence. However, that's not all that there is to. There will be times you will not even have it all, and it's still okay to make the move. So you are going to do it afraid regardless. And it's just like she mentioned, I wanted to also share the principle of 70-20-10. So in learning, we actually have a principle called 70-20-10, which says you only learn 10%. You acquire 10% of skills in classroom. No matter how great you are, you go to a classroom and you try to learn so much. All that is going to stay with you from that classroom experience is just about 10%. 20% you will learn from peer relationship, from just relationship with other people. Where you imagine there's so many things you probably know how to do today just by sitting beside somebody. So you probably have a friend, a colleague, or somebody that just showed you how to do something, and you did it. You learned it in 1 minute. You would probably have never learned it that fast if it was just by sitting in the classroom. So 20% comes from classroom, from 10% from classroom. The 20% is from relationship. While the 70% it comes by doing. So you will never even know what you're able to do until you start doing it. Ask somebody to go for an Excel training. Let the person go and sit down in the Excel training for long and try to learn how to do so many things. You would never know it if you don't use it. There's so many things that you would never, no matter how much advanced skills, even in just as small as Excel skill is, you wouldn't know it until you try it, until you practice, until you use. So basically, there is a part of doing, and that part of doing can only happen when you take a step, when you make a move, it will not happen if you don't just do it afraid, thinking you don't have the skill. All you just need is to have the basic, the minimum. Go ahead. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not saying we should just be complacent with not having the skill, but I'm saying you have the level of the skill, then go increase on it by getting it done. So once you want to increase on a skill or improve on the skill, you have to go get it done. Okay. And it's by the way, it's the same thing. It's similar. It's a similar case when I actually had to also migrate from manufacturing to finance career. I think it was about after 7 years or thereabouts. I was having a bit of interest in going into. I wanted to be a part of the key business decisions and leadership when it comes to the bottom line. I mean, as an organization, there's so many things that happen. Everybody comes together to get the results to make sense. But there is a part of, I want to be in the core decision making when it comes to financials. I want to really understand the bit of, this is the real business profits. Are we good or not? What's happening to the financial? What's the bottom line? What's the growth like? And I was getting interested in finance. I wanted that exposure level. And I recall there was a particular meeting we had. There was a particular business meeting, and then I think the VP in finance was around. And after my presentation, I saw him moving by. I walked by him, and then to have a short chat and just try to ask him, what does it take to have a career in finance? And he mentioned, I think it was with the finance director the country finance director at that time, and then he was also there. They were saying, oh, okay, it's fine. It's possible to have it. You can actually switch career if you want to. This is what it takes. These are this and that. Be ready to stay at this level if you make this kind of call. These are the implications of this decision. And it wasn't like I had the finance skill. In short, I had never done finance in my career. Imagine, like I mentioned before, I started as a biochemist, went into engineering, went later into warehousing, went into logistics and supply chain. And then I went into continuous improvement. And now here I was saying, okay, what is needed to be in finance? And there was a time when there was an opening in finance, and they needed someone, and it was not a new hire role, it was a leadership role. They needed someone that could know a bit about the business to an extent. And I wanted to that needed to work in finance. Then that country director, they said, oh, Jim, I recall one time you said you were interested in finance. We really need somebody. And we know you don't have to have all the skills, but you have what it takes already. We see it. Now, you can imagine, I think it goes back to a bit of what our previous speaker mentioned about the fact that sometimes you have to speak up. I can't necessarily say I'm the super outward extroverted person, but then it was just a conversation that didn't hurt anybody, that I just went to have the conversation. So it was a needed conversation, okay? And I was given time to think about it and say, would you like to come into this career? Would you like to do this kind of role? And that was it. So sometimes this is the part of perfection, and I'm just trying to emphasize on it because a lot of times this is one of the barriers we have. We want everything to be perfect. There is a particular model of perfection we've seen. If you don't do it this way, then it's can't wait, and it kills it robs us of confidence. We should never be. It even starts as early, especially for women. It starts from us as early as teenagers, where there's a perfectionist behavior for a girl. We reward women to do certain things this way. You are a girl, you should do this way. This, if you're not doing it like this, you're not a girl enough. So there's over time, when you now get into the world, you see that it's totally different. If you start seeing that it's not even acceptable as much as you thought, and then you start having further drop in aspirations. When you survey girls over time, from secondary school, from probably young age till later on, you start seeing that there's been a drop in confidence or in aspirations, where things that have been celebrated over time in terms of when you are structured, there's a societal expectation of how a woman should be. And then you will be shocked as an adult to arrive in a world where the field is different, the playing field is different. And that's why there's a struggle. We've internalized a different thing. And that is the whole idea of, we need to break this bias of perfection. Having it all doesn't make us confident. It is just a perception. Perfection is what kills your confidence. Do it afraid. We've talked about that. Do it afraid. Take the move. You won't even learn when you don't take the move at all. When you don't take the next step, you can't even know what is left ahead of you. So that's the part that we need to know. So I'll go to outside this myth. There might be more myths, but I'm just addressing the core ones that I think really pertain to us over time, especially in this age. Which takes me to the next point on what is your confidence gap. I want to ask yourself a question right now. What is that thing? Think about it very well. Take a few minutes to reflect. I would be confident if, so think of whatever you have always wanted to do. Think of saying, okay, I would love to be able to present confidently, and say, the only reason why I don't think is I think I don't know how to speak English well. So whatever it is that is your own limitation, your own obstacle, I want you to be able to identify it right now and say, I would be confident if. For you, it could be, oh, I'll probably be able to go to different family events or different things if I look slimmer. Or, oh, if I had this skill, if I could speak Queen's English, if I had more money, if only I was a man, it would have been easier to just go and talk anyhow. If I had this. So I want you to think of that particular confidence gap that you have. What is your confidence gap? It might be different. It differs. It totally differs. Oh, if I had this particular family, if I came from this well-to-do background, I would have been confident. I would have been confident. But newsflash, shocker to you. You can't be confident regardless of this gap. But I want to start with saying, what is this your confidence gap? You need to, there's a part of self-actualization in understanding that you even have a gap in the first place. What is that thing? So whatever it is whatever area you think you lack confidence today, is it even in your parenting? Because somebody comes and says, this is standard about it is. Have you seen that even when it comes to people parenting, they come and say, the fear of all that people think. So people come and get parenting skill a certain way. That's the reason why they even that particular gap I'm having. I would be confident if, what's that if for me? If only this happened, if only my child was this brilliant, I would have been confident when I go to their school meeting, if only I had this level of grade, I would have been confident. If only I looked better, if only I had better dresses. Now, interesting thing is that you could have all these things and still not be confident. Because what if, while you had those things, something else happens? How do you balance it out? So it has to go beyond all those things. We first need to identify what is this perceived barrier. We mentioned in that perfection discussion that it is a perception. So you need to tell yourself, what have I perceived as the barrier to being confident? We need to come to that particular self-realization. What have I been making an excuse? What is this excuse that I've been saying that is keeping me from being all that is possible for me to do in life? What's my perceived obstacle? What's the story I've told myself long enough that I believed it? See, if you tell yourself a particular story over time, that's the same discussion we heard about, affirmation as well. If you tell yourself a particular story long enough, you will believe it, no matter how either it is true or not. That's why confidence is not just a function of whatever it is that is happening around you. It's a function, it's an outcome of the things happening in your mind. It's a reflection of your mind, and it reflects in your actions. It's a reflection of whatever story that is happening in your mind. It's an output. It's just showing. I think that was one of the pictures that shows your thoughts reflects in what you see. It shows outward. It's just mirroring it out. So what is that confidence gap? I want you to identify it right now, note it down, and try to see what is stopping me. What is the story I believe so far about me? It can be a situation that you have gone through, maybe a failure you have internalized, something has happened to me. Therefore, I believe I'm not good at anything. Oh, I've always failed I've always failed all the days. I don't think. And it might just be that somebody it just was not your area. It was not just what you should be working on. What have you internalized so far? And it has kept your confidence level from dropping, where you just keep telling yourself, it's a cycle, and it's a cycle. I think I don't know how to do this. And then you believe it, and then you go again, over and over and over again. What takes me to the next slide? Look at it. Look at this whole slide of how did we get here? There's a part of belief, right? It starts from your belief. You have a particular belief. Then in that belief can come from so many things. Next slide, please. The belief can come from so many things. It can be formed from your family. It can come from your exposure, your experiences. It can actually be from your status, your education, your environment, your media. You come and say, okay, this is my belief. So all those beliefs you have formed over time goes into your emotion. Okay, once it gets into your emotion, you start having a particular emotion and applying the belief into yourself. Then it goes to your thoughts, right? You start confirming the belief as well. My parents said I'm good for nothing. I'm not smart. I'm too big. It can be a media telling you versus the standard on the media. I'm too big. Versus how people talk. I'm not a good public speaker. Versus this. So what happens is that in your thoughts, what happens in your mind? The battlefield that happens in your mind is the battle of I'm seeking proof to confirm what I've heard or what I believed before. So you go out, something in your environment says this, and then you see something happens, so say, oh, true, I've always known it. I can't do this well. So there's a part of confidence that we level, how our confidence level drops rather, is from so many things like this, and it all comes from this. So what is your confidence gap? You need to ask yourself, what area do I lack confidence today, and what is driving it? Is it a particular level of fear? Is it a particular level of what I've heard or what I've fed myself in, of societal expectation, of peer pressure, of what I think is limiting? What are those limiting factors? I need to identify them right now. And if you go to the next one, it starts from the mind. We've heard it over and over. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. You need to take charge of your thought life. It starts with your thought life. It starts with what you have believed over time. So please, next slide, please. It starts with your thought life. It starts with what you have believed over time. And what you believe also comes from what you see around you, what you hear around you, and then your mind has internalized it over time. So you tell yourself that story so you believe it is true. I think she mentioned something about brownie, where you tell somebody this is brown and this brown is black, and you can actually believe it is actually black. And why you believe in is black? Because you've heard it so many times. And it happens. Once you believe a lie enough, it becomes true. Once you tell yourself a lie so much, at a time it becomes like your truth. It's helping you to get where you should be. Why are you believing the story? Why are you believing the story? The question is, why are you believing the story? You should ask yourself, what's this confidence gap? I don't have this. And why is that a limiting tendency? Why is that stopping me from getting all what I want to get done? Okay. And if you go to the next slide, I just want to tell you a bit on the woman's identity that we've been told. So it comes to, we talked about the myth, and we talked about how our confidence level drops. And it comes from, you know, how our identity has been shaped by the environment. What do people expect? Oh, a woman, how somebody expects you to be. It has to be about your intelligence, your appearance, your wealth, your job. In short, are you married or not? You know, there's a particular, so it comes to, because, and you ask yourself, who defined this standard? Who actually determined, who set the pace for what success is? If I'm supposed to be in the class of myself, I'm that unique, why should there be a general standard that should cover all of us? If actually I'm a unique being, and then I have my uniqueness, why should there be a general standard of how I should be, the level of intelligence? And somebody says, okay, this is what intelligence means. And even learn how intelligence can vary. It can be, somebody can have intelligence in this side on art, in arts, it can have intelligence in this particular way. But there is, people expect certain things, and then you come and say, okay, this is how you have to be. If we don't learn, you know, if we're not clear on our identity, which is one of the things I'll be focusing on, if we are not clear on what our real identity is, regardless of what culture and society say, we will become a victim of other people's opinion. It will be a function of whatever anybody says or not. And you will not be able to change it because you're not even clear. You don't have a sense of identity yourself. And when you don't, and which is what my focus area is today, you don't want to misunderstanding your own identity, know your identity, because it is the core of your belief system. It is the core of that particular battle that I mentioned that is happening in the mind. So it's why most people want to imitate. There's a standard online. For you to be a woman that does this, you have to have this. And then you go and say, okay, I also have to do this. So you have to understand who you have, because that's crucial so that people don't take possession of your life. Stop trying to live someone else's life. On the long run, you will no longer matter. Ask yourself, years down the line, will this person matter? Have you ever thought of the fact that what we used to call success is not static, actually. Even the same success that the world defines, it keeps changing. The goalpost keeps changing, right? You wake up one day, someone will tell you how the best weddings in town are. You wake up tomorrow, the standard has changed again. So imagine if you keep trying to win this war of meeting a particular standard, you will just get tired. It's an unending cycle, which is why the goal is beyond trying to meet certain expectations. It has to be beyond that. It has to be coming from your own identity, your uniqueness, because that is the whole idea. Your reason for existence, your understanding identity and purpose, which is what we're going to be talking about in a couple of minutes. This is the only exciting way to live. You have one life to live, and the only way to make it count is living on your own term, on God's term, on your own term, not on anybody's term, not on societal expectation, not on anybody's standard. And once you get that out of the way, once you get these all expectations out of the way, there's a level of confidence you start exuding. You start to exude, you start to ooze it out, because it's no longer about acceptance, it's no longer about, you're not trying to come out from a place of acceptance, because you are secured in who you are already. So you're not trying to say what matters, what's going to happen. We used to feel afraid sometimes, of course, but when you remember who you are, when you come back to the place of identity, then it will be different. So, which takes me to the next slide. Have you ever seen these expectations, societal expectations? This is what I was mentioning about the goalposts. The goalposts keep changing. So some people will say, oh, you are too basic, you are this, you are that. There are different expectations of what a woman should be, depending on wherever you find yourself. And you keep hearing this, hearing that. But on the long run, as you try to swing this way, the goalposts change. Somebody says you have to be this as well, or you have to be this and that. It's an unending revolution. And it's on different position of who a woman should be, from appearance to work to relationships. It will keep shifting, and you will never meet up. It will always be an endless cycle when you try to meet up. And what this does is it reduces your confidence tank, and you keep thinking you're not enough. As you are meeting one, you are told you are missing on another. So this can definitely not be the standard. Okay. Over time, if you look at the cognitive triangle, going back to that part of the cycle I mentioned on the belief system. Next slide, please. Okay, yeah. So there's a part of what you think, right? The emotions, which whatever you think, go to how you feel. Have you ever sat down and you felt a certain way? And you started thinking, you felt a certain way, but then you trigger it back, you look back to what drove that particular feeling. You started thinking about something. And it makes you do the same things you do. And that's just the same way. It's a cycle. So there'll be a part of someone tells you, I'm not sure you can ever make it. You actually didn't believe it. Say, what kind of person is this? You just discount the thoughts and you go ahead. You go to another situation, you go to another particular interview. Someone says, oh, how did you even pass in the first place? How did you leave university? I'm not sure you can ever get a job. You hear that, and then over time, you keep hearing similar things, and you start feeling a certain way. Guess what? The cycle continues. You start losing your confidence and say, okay, maybe it's actually true. Maybe I actually can't get a job. Maybe I should just look for other alternatives of what I should be doing. And that's just how it continues. So there's a part of what you think, there's a part of your subtle belief. Then the part of you hear it over and over, you take time to internalize it, you start feeling a certain way, and then you start acting. And then it goes like that over and over again. How you think, that affecting how you feel. And what affects how you see, how you think rather. It's what you hear and what you see over time. Like they say, faith and fear both comes from what you hear and what you believe. So what you hear long enough, whatever you hear and whatever you see long enough, you will start believing it. Either if it is fear or if it is faith, they all come from what you hear and what you see, which is why it's not something that you can leave to chance. You have to be intentional about it. And you heard about what she mentioned, the last speaker mentioned about talking to yourself, right? You need to hear the voice you need to hear the most should be your own voice. You need to actually hear your own voice loudly enough, not the voice of other people's expectations about you, which goes to our core parts of this conversation as I brought it up, which is more about identity and how does it impact our confidence as women. I like this part. If you go back, please. Okay. So if you go back, I like the part of showing our thumbprint, and it's just a confirmation of our uniqueness. Imagine no two human being having the same thumbprint. It's to show that we are unique on all sides. And the question is identity. So you've learned so many beliefs. You have so many beliefs. You have things you learned over the years. It's time to unlearn them. How do we do it? It's an internal thing. Who am I? I'm 6'5". I'm 6 foot tall. I'm fair in complexion. I have this body. Once you start saying that, start wondering, okay, requirements for not what you have experienced. You are not what you look like. You are not your failures. You're not your fears. You're not your errors. You're not your imperfections. You're not your you're not none of those. Your identity is not about what. It's not about what you look like. It's not about what you have experienced. Your identity is who you are. Your identity is who you are. And this is the core of this discussion today. Your identity is who you are. So who are you? And your purpose is why you exist. So it's about the who and the why. So the who you are explains the why you are the way you are. So why you exist explains why you are the way, why you are the way you are, which is your uniqueness. So it's time to tell yourself, enough of societal expectation. Let me start from who am I? And it's about being who you are. And when you don't care about what any other person sets as a standard, you live life on your own term. You live life on the term that matters and not on anybody's term, basically. So, question to you: who are you? If I were to describe you today, who are you? Next slide, please. Who are you? Can we answer the question? I don't know if we can start talking. Who are you? Next slide, please. So the question is, who are you? You need to first find identity who you are. For me, I believe, I'm God's beloved child. As a Christian, I believe I am. And you would be focusing on what the culture says. The highest worth and dignity that you can think of is not going to be coming from what other people can tell you, because it can change. If somebody tell you today, and say, oh, you are great, you are awesome. The same person can come tomorrow and say, you're not great again. You didn't do it well today. And that means that's why you can't base your identity on what other people say, because it can change over time. So if you don't learn, if you're not clear on what you were born to be, who you were born to be, and what you were born to do, you'll be a victim of people's opinion. You know, you want to imitate others. You will be missing in a lot of ways. You'll be missing in a lot of ways of what you should be doing. And that's why the question of identity is very, very key. You need to be secure in who you are. I'm unique. I know who I am. I'm unique. I'm special. I'm this. I'm loved. I'm secured. You need to know who you are. You need to tell yourself over and over to remind yourself of who you are. Then the next question is, what do you exist for? Let me quickly wrap up. What do you exist for? What's the purpose for you? What's to know why you exist when you see around it, right? You need to understand. Go to school, get married, die one day, and that's it. I mean, meet up. There's a particular hierarchy everybody expects you to have. Go to school, have a job, marry, have grandchildren. Is that all that I exist for? There needs to be a journey, a passion that is beyond the regular. And when that exists, trust me, you will see barriers and it won't even matter. There's certain barriers. There's a level of confidence that comes when you are trying to solve a problem and knowing you've been defined, you're existing for this problem. I mean, that's why I'm here. Just like a screwdriver will be so excited to just say, let me unscrew this thing. That's what I'm here for. I just have what it takes, the perfect fit to do this. That boosts your level of confidence. When you discover your purpose, when you have that level of purpose, it will help you. Okay? So this is the key thing. This is the key thing you need to have at the back of your mind. Who am I? Why do I exist? Next slide. You need to be clear what is driving me today. What have I allowed to drive my life over time? Maybe is it fear? Is it revenge? Somebody has said this is me. Have you seen people come online to just come and show up because somebody has told you before you are not great in this, and you just want to show up that you are struggling so hard to keep up with what somebody has said about you or with what people think about you. You don't want that to be the situation. So but is it revenge? Is it anger? Somebody said this about me before. What it is that is driving your life? It should be purpose. What am I here for? I want to be able to, you need to discover. You're not actually going to develop it. Interestingly, there is already a clarity in your purpose because there is a uniqueness about you, which is different from each person, which is why I tell somebody we cannot be judged by the same marketing scheme because we're different. Next slide. So you develop purpose. Say when purpose of a thing is not known, anything comes, you take anything that comes your way, right? And that's what happens. Anything that comes your way is what you think. You accept what anybody tells you. You say, okay, it's fine. So can you go to the next slide? We discover purpose, we don't develop it. You're not going to start afresh and say, I want to starting finding something for myself. Because the question we ask is, how do I find my identity? And then how do I discover my purpose, right? So you discover it because it's not something you're trying to find afresh. And I'll just give us a tip, which is the last slide. A last tip on how we can do this. Try to find out what is that special gift you have, your hairs. Then what is the H part? What motivates you? I like to use this shape example, which is coined from Rick Warren's Purpose-Driven Life. Art, what motivates you? What's that unique ability you have? What's my personality? What's something that I have what's my place of strength, like the other person mentioned? And then what are my experiences? My experiences are not get better at whatever I do. It's time to break free from whatever anybody else thinks. My uniqueness. This is just all that is required. This is just giving you a summary of what that is required. But most importantly, what I want to just leave with us is let's unlearn whatever belief system we have. Let's take it out. Let's go back to the core, the internal part, not the external part alone. What have I believed so far about myself? Who am I? When you go back to the place of identity, when you go back to the place of not living for what others think, when you go back to the place of not living for regular standard, guess what? You will start breaking free. You will indeed break the labels. You will start getting free, and you will indeed understand that you are more than enough for the assignment you have, for the purpose you're living for what you want to achieve. So when you go to a particular, either your career, whatever area of your life, it won't matter what others think. What would matter would be, am I meeting up with what this demand is? And you would, even when you want to make a move to improve on yourself, it will be based on what is required, what is proper, what is driving me. It will not just be a function of what others think, because goalposts will keep changing if you focus on what others think. Thank you very much. I need to wrap up now. And happy International Women's Day to every one of us. I hear the time is up. You're mute, we can't hear you.
Thank you so much. I knew you had to rush through a lot of content. Thank you so much. That was super. Somebody had her hand raised up for so long. Dolapo, would you please, if you're willing to, please ask your question. Somebody had a hand raised. Dolapo had a hand raised. Dolapo, I'm gonna allow you ask a question. And I have one question for you while we're trying to bring Dolapo up. Goodness, please bring Dolapo up. I have a question for you. And you mentioned something very crucial at the end. You said you should unlearn some of the things that you've learned about your identity. We should unlearn. My question is, what are practical steps you can take to unlearn identities that you've become for 20 years, 35 years? How do you begin to unlearn these things?
Yeah, that's a very important question, actually. Yes, so practically, how do you unlearn? I started with a part of everything that happens, every reflection, whatever habit, whatever behavior you have, whatever belief you have, it all starts from the mind. And how does it happen from the mind? It starts from the place of what you hear. It starts from the place of what you see over time. Now, unlearning, you can't just unlearn by hoping it will go away. It's not going to happen. You have to be intentional about allowing something else to come in, so that whatever it's coming in is going to superimpose itself on whatever you believe over the years. And how does that happen? You have to be intentional about where you put yourself, the environment, the relationships you put yourself. You have to be intentional about the things you hear, the things you see, the things you focus on, the books you read. You're going to say, okay, now this is what I'm going to focus on. You're going to be intentional about the relationships you have, either horizontal, vertical, whatever relationship it is. It could be mentorship relationship, it could be peer relationship, but whatever relationship it is, that is going to fuel that level of confidence you want to have in believing in who you ought to be and not in what other people expect you to be. So it starts from that place of being intentional about what you hear, what you see, where you find yourself. Over time, you become like the company of people you keep. Over time, you become like the books you read. Over time, you become like what you've heard. And when you hear things over and over, you believe it so much. And over time, you start reflecting that which you believe so much in yourself. And that's where it comes to the part of unlearning. So you unlearn, you accept the fact that, okay, it's possible I've lost it over the years. You need to accept that gap first. I've been believing I would actually be better at this if only this happened. But in reality, you find that you could actually do it with this happening. You see people getting it done regardless. So the question is, how can I get it done also at this? So I think that's one practical way of unlearning. You need to take that day by day step, basically.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Dolapo, would you please unmute your mic and ask your question?
Thank you very much for the teaching. It was very enlightening, very, very enlightening. I wanted to ask about purpose. I'm a bit confused. Can you have, how do you know exactly what it is that your purpose is? Sometimes it's confusing, I won't lie. So sometimes I think my purpose is, I'm a career person. So is it work? That's all I do. Do you understand? I'm confused. Yeah.
Thank you for that question. And I think it's a general question. It's a question a lot of people ask when it comes to purpose, And what I ask you is, if your job is taken away from you tomorrow, how then do you define yourself? What then is purpose, right? Because if this job leaves today, doesn't mean you lost purpose totally. That's not what it means. So you are definitely beyond your job or what you do. It's just a tool to achieving what you were called to do, which is why I started with, I didn't really have time to go and expatiate on that shape. So there is a way to understand purpose, and it's about understanding your shape. So you can start from the part of understanding what is your special ability. What is that special thing about you? What is that thing that motivates you, that drives you, that if tomorrow, somebody wakes me up, I will do this thing regardless. If I was not paid money for this, trust me, I will do it. There's a passion to you pass by something will happen. We will both pass by a certain place together. I will be angry about the situation. Someone else will not be. Guess why? There's a part of me, there's a part of passion I have towards it, to say, okay, what's happening? Or you see I will look at a particular situation, I will see something different that you will not be seeing. So there's a unique eyes we have. There's a personality you have. So there's a part of that shape. I will really encourage if you can read more about it, because it's not something you can probably get at a go. But over time, it's something you would learn, you will get to discover as you take the step. Sometimes it will even require you taking a step, And as you take the next step, you will realize that, oh, I'm getting closer to it. I'm getting to understand it more. But you're not going to be finding one for yourself. You will discover it over time, and it's coming from your shape. So that is really the core of it. And I don't know if this just helps you a bit. I know it's too short to be able to say I want to expatiate so much on the concept of really understanding purpose. But you have to ask yourself, your job is not your purpose. It's only a tool to fulfilling purpose. It can be a place of expression for you. It can be a place where you express one of the things, innate ability you have, but it's not it in itself. If it's taken out, that doesn't mean you have lost purpose, right? Which is why it tells you it's not all that there is. I hope I answered a little bit. Okay, I see she's responding. Okay, because I'm also watching the time.
Yes, and you did a fantastic job. I mean, the answer you gave now, I think, is so vital. You said something very crucial. You said if your job is taken away from you, then does that mean that you've lost purpose? And I sat down and I thought about that. If we all sit down and say, this thing I'm doing from 9 to 5, if I suddenly don't have it anymore, does it mean I was created for nothing? Does it mean I'm doing nothing? That it just means I'm doing nothing. So there is a place where you sit down and say, okay, this job is giving me $1 million per month or $48 million per month. Yay, that seems good, right? And the money is coming. But what am I contributing to the world? What difference am I making? What change am I making happen as a person, regardless of what job, what title, what career? And it could even be the career, like you mentioned. It could even be a career, but the real question is to sit down and say, am I making an impact with this thing I'm doing? And it leads me today. Does it mean I'm doing nothing else with my life that can make sense? Does it mean I'm doing absolutely nothing else? And I think that is super, super important. Thank you so much for answering that. And I have one more powerful question for you. One more very powerful question. Identity. You know, it is now the first module in my signature confident public speaking course. Is the first module. Yes, identity. It's so crucial. And I see a lot of people trying to change, trying to become more confident, trying to become, more confident when they're speaking, more confident when they're doing their business and everything. And I'm seeing that if you don't discover a new version of you, which already exists, if you don't tap into another level, another version is just the best word to use. That already exists. There are so many things that you can do that you will not attempt because you don't think you are equipped to do. And so on this journey to discovering your identity so that you can be confident, I see that a lot of women have had a certain identity. They grew up with a certain identity for 30 years, and it's comfortable. And when I say comfortable, it's tough, because one of the toughest things to deal with, to break is your conditioning, your programming. You've been programmed to be a certain kind of woman for 25 years, for 45 years. Mrs. Dio is 60. She's above 60, and imagine that she had experiences as far back as 7 that shaped her life, that she can still remember so vividly even now. So how is it even possible? Let's even be honest. We can. It's easy for us to say, you change, you can make it, change can come, you can arise. How is it, honestly speaking? How do I become a different woman? How do I see myself as a different person, knowing fully well that for the past 40 years, I have been a particular person to myself?
Okay, so I like that question of identity. Taking it up from where you mentioned on even on from the purpose bit on saying, what am I solving? One of the things I like to emphasize, give example of is look at organizations. Organizations that actually do well, they exist to provide a solution, right? So we know certain organizations for certain things, right? Because they are preferring a solution. Either way they choose to do it. So the part of, we need to, just going back to answering that person's question again, to say, ask yourself, what solution have I been called to provide, to actually provide? What particular situation right now is going on in the world that I think I need to, I've been called to fix basically, and what is it that drives me? So as a bypass. Now going back to the concept of identity, like you mentioned, it's not a one-day job. And that's why I like the topic. It's a journey to confidence, to be sincere. It's a journey. It's not going to happen overnight. And we said do it afraid. You're going to wake up one day, you're going to come out and want to do it, and that particular voice will come back in your mind. Whatever it is, that voice can be what that shaped you as a teenager. Whatever it is, it can be that shaped as a child. That voice will come back again and come to affect your mind. It's going to come back and say, you can't do this again. But what you're going to do is, you cannot counter a thought with another thought. Let me go back again. Interestingly, you cannot just counter a thought with another thought by stopping it. It doesn't work. You actually counter a thought with words. Now, the best voice you can hear is your own voice, by the way. The loudest voice that you should be hearing per time is your own voice. So if somebody tells you, you hear somebody say, this is, so you need to come back and say, who am I? Sit down one day, try to write the list of your identity. Who are you? How come somebody tells you you can't do it and you believe it so easily? Then when you tell you can do it, why is it so hard to believe you can't do it? You can't do it, then you can do it. Isn't it so interesting that you actually believe you can't do it, then you can do it? Is that simple? But you believe that one is okay. It's okay to, because it's a convenient thing, right? It's convenient. It takes less responsibility. It takes a lot. So when you come to part of who am I, when you come to part of writing out, itemizing, thinking through it, taking your time to it, of who you really are. This is who I am. You need to remind yourself of who you are. Sometimes it's just a function of environment. I think we've had several illustrations of how you will have a particular animal, stay with certain set of animal and believe. I mean, and a baby eagle can be kept among chickens and believe it's a chick as well, and continue to live like that until he gets to a point where he gets to the midst of other birds and say, you guys can fly so high, let me try it out. Now it's going to take that level of trying, missing it. It might not be necessarily failing, learning, right? You fail at it, you try it again. You're going to do it one time, you're going to fail. So, which is why I'm saying it comes from part of knowing, saying, I have to itemize these things. This is who I am. 1, 2, 3. This is who I am. And reminding yourself at time. Now, reminding yourself will come for speaking it loudly to yourself. It will come for being amongst those people that can remind you, which is why it's very important. Being amongst those people, around those people that can remind you of who you really are. Because you cannot continue to stay in an environment that is deflating your balloon, your confidence balloon over time, and expect to go all half and then you are just all over the place. No, it's not going to happen. You have to be in environments. You might go to an environment that wants to deflate it, but trust me, you have another place where you are inflating it back. You're getting it back again, you go all out and say yes. So how do you get it back? You get it back. So as you're losing it, you go get it back from reminding yourself, this is who I am. You go back. So that kind of bird is going to come back and say, okay, I now realize I have this. This is who I am. And then when you have small wins, don't go all the big ways. When you start having small wins, start remembering those things. When you recall those things, it helps you to know, okay, that was how I thought I could not do this, but I did it. You know, it's a small win, it's a move. It boosts your confidence. It's a cycle, actually. That's why I said, even though success is not the one that gives you the confidence level, but it's a cycle. Once you never were confident, you lose the success, and then it continues to confirm you couldn't have done it anyway. And that's just how it goes. It's a cycle over and over. So you come from a place of knowing who you are. That identity is key. Once you're clear, itemizing it, telling yourself over and over, and putting yourself in that environment that confirms it per time as your core environment. That's your real environment. The other environment you just step into and come back out. Don't make an environment that deflates your confidence a constant space where you stay. It cannot be your constant space. So your constant space cannot be a place where it's keep getting deflated. It cannot be. You need to come back. But then when you know yourself long enough, you will not be bothered about certain thing. So imagine a child, maybe a child of a wealthy person. Let me not even go that way. Go to a Steve Jobs. It comes out and it dresses in a particular way. People will not say it's not true. You cannot say it's not wealthy. because guess what? You know he's wealthy. So wearing that clothes doesn't mean he doesn't have the money. So you will not claim he's not wealthy. So there's a part of him saying, okay, I know I'm wealthy. I'm not going to try to prove it to you, right? So he's going to come back to the place of saying, once I'm clear on who I am, I need to reinforce it so much, that I know who I am, that it will not matter to prove it to anybody that I am this person. But it's going to come from you. You're not going to come from a place of acting or a place of waiting for validation or affirmation. It will come from a place of knowing who you are. And I think that is the key thing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Someone says this isn't motivational. This is facts. Mind blown. Thank you so much, Mrs. Jimisayo Adine. You've been fantastic. You've been wonderful.
Thank you.
You told us myths about confidence. It's not extroverted people only. It's not for people who have achieved success. It's not perfection. You shed light on identity and purpose. God bless you. Amazing, amazing, amazing. God bless you. And you even stayed back. Someone said, can we have free therapy sessions with her? I don't think so. She's a big girl in PG. And she's in finance. She has to make sure that the account balance is, guys. She has to make sure everything is balanced. Okay? So thank you so much. I'm super grateful. We're jumping into the next session now with our spoken word artist. I hope you hang around to hear what she has specially prepared for you and all our wonderful women this International Women's Day. Thank you, Mrs. Jimisayo Adine. We are so glad to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you to our speakers. Please shout our speakers with love. They've been so amazing. They've been so amazing. This was truly impactful. Thank you so much. We're going to be introducing our spoken word artist. So I'm going to hand over to our compare for the day. Please, over to you, Sister Taylor.
All right, thank you very much, Deola. And over and out, just before I hand you over to Shola Amarabi. Shola is a poet and communication strategist, a passionate ideator, divinely graced with the ability to help people unearth their uniqueness and explore their true potentials, thereby blazing a luminous trail of creative independence. She is the author of the poetry collection, Least We Forget. Her work has been published in magazines, and she has taken the stage in spoken word performance, both home and abroad. Shola has a background in media, public relations, and creative writing, with over 12 years working with women organizations, brands, and faith-based NGO. She holds an MBA in digital marketing strategies from Leonardo da Vinci University, Paris, France. She runs, Pinnacle Pro, a digital agency, and she is recently the founder of She Is a Voice, an NGO dedicated to supporting the female child, especially those with special needs. And I hand you over now to Shola Amaraibi.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the intro. Good afternoon, everyone. Super confident women. Deola, are you hearing me loud and clear?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Wow, there's been so much fire in the house today. All the sessions have been amazing. I actually sent a message to Deola that she has said it also, do I still need to talk? And thank you, Auntie D, for sharing your story, Mrs. Sheon, Mrs. Jimisayo, and all the speakers for putting words to the pain of many and giving us the confidence that we can walk through too. So my name is Shola Amaraibi. I'm a poet and communication strategist. Today's poem has a little bit of background in marketing and my digital aspect. So when I talk marketing strategies with my clients, I walk them through a 3-step framework to 10x their buyers. This framework comprises of breaking biases, because even in the marketplace, there's a disparity. So today's poem is coming from that understanding. I say to them, see yourself as a product and understand the problems you solve in the society. Eliminate the fears holding you back from taking a stand. This one is about breaking your own biases. I tell them, be your own advocate and get your marketing right. So I walk them through these 3 levels. And this is a conversation for another day. But this poem is titled Become, and I'm offering this to you as something that that comes from the deepest part of me. As I talk, please feel free to use the chat room. I would like you to type your response to this question. Who would you become if the biases were broken? This is a call to examine your own bias against yourself. What's stopping you from living with power and confidence? Become. It's dawn and giants are walking the earth again, waking up as they flip up veils and cloaks of lies entrenched in their unconsciousness for ages long. We are coming, surrendering only to the emergence of our soul. Remember how your mother fought to carry you through. Our grandmothers fought bare-chested and fully armored, child strapped to their hips with sword in one hand. They fought slavery and illiteracy. Mama fought for the right to live and even to matter. Remember the women who fought for your vote to matter. Remember how the universe leaned in on your transformation and brought you here. You didn't arrive here softly, not on tiptoes. There were battles of the mind, bows, arrows, and guns. There were breaking of biases and stereotypes. And now you've got the baton. Today, many will speak of biases and chattering things. Today, I'll ask only one thing of you. Only one thing of you. Bring the battle home. Break the bias against yourself so the labor of our ancestors will not be in vain. No, we will not spit on the sacrifices that got us here by playing the game of entanglement with self-imposed biases. Cultures and rules may not always be fair, and gender imbalances color our view. What about the self-serving biases we wrap around ourselves like a cloak, so tight we can't breathe freedom? See, systems and government will set limits. Men will say, take care while we take charge. Even women will say, it's not your place to climb too high. Unconsciously, we reinforce stereotypes. We tell the boy to wash the car and pick blue. We tell the girl to wash the plate and pick pink. We stack taboos and crown distortions. Break your own bias. You are deserving of honor. To hold yourself in high esteem, to dazzle with brilliance. Brilliance is not the prerogative of any gender. Woman, ascend. Do not consent to descending standards. You are deserving of bigger, deserving of the front. Your skin is layered with toughness and courage, gold and all that's beautiful, layered with the best. You are too much. Tell yourself if they don't tell you already. And if they downplay your accomplishments, own it. Leave the bus stop of validation seeking, wings flapping. Break the bias that bets self-doubt and fly. You can bloom into a rose or an oak. You can reach as high as the sky. You can chart a path to the moon. Be unapologetic in your expansion. You can be rooted deeper than a fig. You can be your own best advocate. Break the bias against yourself. Win from within. Let no stereotyping kill your confidence. See, confidence is a conscious choice, a willingness to show up and step up, to bless the earth with your essence. Confidence is a stubborn armor, the resilient practice of striking at your own bias. Woman, let your womb unleash your too muchness. Let your womb unleash your too muchness. Woman, you who carry mankind, teach the world how to carry you. Expand your capability to wow. Own your ability to win. Let your presence vaporize their biases. Let your output silence the murmurings. See, rules and regulations may open the door, but like shackles, our biases won't let us through. Biases wear many faces. They are reflected at us in how we think, act, turn on the light inwards. Recognize the biases you carry. This is how we step into our own power. For when we are strong within, the society will mend. Men, policies, banks, bosses, they are not our problems. They are our allies. Women, when you truly rise, everything rises with you. Glass ceilings are melting like wax. Adjust your mind, buckle your heels, break the bias against your body. Their unrealistic standards are not your yardstick. Your worth is not in the size of your waist, not in how pretty or slim you are. together, break the bias, challenge what is wrong, take the hammer to salary inequalities and workplace harassment, break the bias in domestic violence and rape. The skirt is not a signal to violation. Her mouth does not ask for slaps when she speaks for a right. Sister, acknowledging your pain is breaking a bias. Who lied to you that you were made only of rock? Under recognition of your pain is a bias. So put your shattered fragments together. You are not fragile, and it's okay to need mending. Workload, childcare, household responsibilities, burnout. Your self-worth does not depend on opinions, trends, or algorithms, not on the biases ingrained in our culture. We have seen the light. Break the bias in your worship. Say amen to the high priest and the chief priest. Your belief is not a tool for coercion. Shift from automatic patterns to intentionality. Here is the next level evolution for humanity. What does a world free of bias look like for you? If the gaps were closed, would you dominate? If you weren't scared, what would you do? If the biases were broken, would you elevate? If you break the biases you hold against yourself, you would become. Thank you.
The drawing fire in the chat. Please just do fire. We need water. Please, somebody call the fire ambulance. We need water. We need fire. We are we become anything.
Yeah.
Shola has done it again.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Wow.
Like every single line should be elevated. Every single line should be written in stone and kept for generations to see. You know, there was one you wrote, you said, we shouldn't be caught in the entanglement of self-imposed bias. And so many people were typing, you know, awesome stuff in chat. There was one that someone typed, oh, I hope I can carry it. He says, break the bias, they are not the standard. You know, woman, let your womb unleash your too muchness.
Yes.
You said,
I don't even know if that's a correct English word, too muchness, but really we need to unleash that too muchness, because there's this thing that women don't do it well. We need to bring in excellence, even into the boardrooms, into everything we do. We are just too much.
And you know, there was something I shared with someone one day. I said, there was something I used to do. So when I'm singing and I'm singing in a group and there aren't instruments, sometimes I try not to sing loud enough because I feel like the other person will be intimidated. So I'm singing, but I'm not really, I'm like, yeah, I do alto. So I'm like, we just want to say, I'm not really singing at the top of my voice. So I'm like, yeah, but you now said, unleash it. Like, when are you going to sing? Like, when are you going to use your, like, God gave it to you. You didn't go there and say, excuse me, sir, can I just, like, you said so much in that poem. Everything needs to be written in stone. Shola, thank you, super. Where am I?
Thank you for having me.
We haven't gotten over the one, guys. If you didn't watch Now You See Me conference last year, it's now for sale. But if you can touch the right spots in my heart, I can send you the link for free to everyone who registered for this conference. I can send you the link for free. And if you haven't registered, run and now register. You need to watch Shola's video. Shola, I'm going on and on about it because I know that you composed this poem after I gave you the topic for this session. I hold you in high esteem. You are a genius. You are a word artist. You are excellent. Give me your too muchness. You know when they say, give us, we can't take it. We can't take it, but we can take it. Anyhow, give us. Thank you so much. This is such a beautiful way to end the conference. And to every one of you who has stayed till the end, I just want to appreciate you. I want to say Happy International Women's Day. We need to take a picture. Should I please come back? Let's take a picture of the happy. Goodness, if you don't get this picture, it is. Please, I'm going to bring Mrs. Jimmy Sayo, if you don't mind, can you please come back while we do the International Women's Day thing, where we just do that hand thing. Let's just, I can't seem to be able to do it. Okay, so I think for the three of us. So can I please bring Mrs. Jimmy Sayo instead, please? All right, I can see it. I can add that to Spotlight. 1 second, please. Right, fantastic. So can we do it now? Goodness, this is your moment of victory. All right, so happy International Women's Day, everybody. Sister Tolu, we're waiting for you.
Yeah.
I see your hand. Your hand is hidden right behind it's somewhere under, yes. All right, so we can't take pictures because we're on Zoom webinar. So thank you everyone so much. Goodness, do you have it? All right, I think she must have it now. Goodness, I hope you have it. Thank you everyone. Thank you, Mrs. Jimmy. Thank you, Mrs. Dio. Thank you, Mrs. Shield. Thank you, our beautiful compare of over 15 years. She has 15 years experience, so she's not upcoming artist. She has record levels. And so you guys, everyone on this call is a star, like bright. You guys are not upcoming artists. You guys are bright and shining stars. And I want to thank every single one of you for answering and saying yes at such short notice. And God bless you. God bless you. Thank you. Yes, there will be a recording, Bumi. There will be a recording. Thank you so much. On this note, I say, finally, everyone has a moral obligation to break the bias against themselves. Only then can you give other people the permission to grow and break their own biases. On that note, I say happy International Women's Day and goodbye from here. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Me so it's green and it's all mine. Stand in the rain as the clouds go gray. The roars and the earth sings. The season's just beginning. The sunlight it hides as the clouds make way. For the pouring of my blessings, I will not be afraid. I see it now, I understand, I know. So I embrace it, dance. In the rain, it's for my seed to grow. For every prayer and every seed I've sown, Lord of the harvest knows I'm reaping back 100-fold. The land is green, it's green, oh, oh. The land is green, it's green. Can't you see? The harvest is ready, 'cause the Lord of the harvest told me so. It's green for me. It's green for me. Standing alone can be a heavy load, but my vows I won't be breaking. Though my heart is aching, I got a word and I won't let go. It's your will I'm seeking, so I keep on believing. I see it now, I understand, I know. So I embrace it, dance. Once again, it's time for me to grow. For every prayer and every tear I've sown, Lord of the harvest knows I'm reaping joy 100-fold. The land is green, it's green, oh, oh. The land is green, it's green. Can't you see? The harvest is ready, 'cause the Lord of the harvest told me so. It's green for me. I thought it was over, thought you were done with me, but we're just beginning. Whoa, my life is a journey. I will walk with you, I will go where you want me to. Yes, I will go. Come on. land is green, it's green. Can't you see?